Okay. We should be live. It should be working.
Okay.
Don't look at my desktop.
Hi, everyone.
I don't know if it. I guess you could do the thing. I forgot that we do the thing.
Am I doing the thing?
You do whatever you want. It's fine. It's pretty freeform here. We're very. Okay. There we go.
Well, hi, everyone. Today we're going to be watching the first Democratic primary debate. There's another one tomorrow, which we'll also be doing.
Yeah. And this one has. Hold on. Let me pull up the roster, kids. Let me actually turn. Hold on. NBC News is playing some shit in the background. It doesn't matter. How you guys doing tonight? I need to social media this. Bagoosh social media. Give fucking social media chat, guys. If you're on the Discord, social media.
I'm gonna turn down my NBC for now.
Cool. So
I see some people in the comments going to bat for Biden. Today is not.
Today is not that day. So.
Today's not Biden's day. That's tomorrow.
So
today is Warren's in it. Booker's in it.
I'm literally gonna read. They're gonna see it. Okay. All right. We're very professional here. I have an actual. I have a graphic. Are you aware of this? I have a graphic because that's the level of quality that you get here. It's really just my browser. So we have frontrunner Bill de Blasio. Everybody knows everything about Bill. I don't even have to talk about him. Of course, Tim Ryan, very popular in the polls. He's getting probably a portion of a percent. We have Julian Castro. We have everybody's favorite Barack Obama, Cory Booker.
Isn't Barack Obama everyone's favorite Barack Obama? People generally like Obama unless you're a weirdo.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, don't like him because he's brown or whatever.
Well,
or if you don't like the fact that he continued to drone people to death, which is a fair criticism.
I was gonna say, in before the drone people, everyone's favorite younger lady, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and then Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, I don't know, Klobuchar, Kloblusher. Tulsi Gabbard, who is oh man, if you're a free speech warrior, Tulsi Gabbard is your shit right now. Jay Inslee and John Delaney. Other than that, so I think your front runners are very clearly in descending order. Probably Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, and then like Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke. But I mean, Beto's kind of a. You know.
I'm hoping Warren does well. She does well amongst the younger people usually.
Yeah, I think
I say that like I'm not also a younger people.
Yeah.
Only 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hi guys. I think for the most part Warren's pretty good. She did that. Did you see early on in her when she like was it when she announced she was running, she had that really awkward like Facebook Live thing with her husband?
You talked about that where she was like in her kitchen and she was trying to do sort of the AOC like I'm a real person thing, but it came off as very I'm old and don't do this.
Thank you for being here, husband. May I have a beer? Do you want a beer? I like beer. And then, that became a meme for a different reason. But I like Elizabeth Warren. I think she's a decent option.
Sure.
I mean,
they split her and Burning off into two separate nights, which I think is actually all right because we're getting a little more liberal, progressive stuff on both nights. It'll hopefully bring the conversation a little bit further left than it tends to be. A big fan of
I'd say
neoliberal, super pro-corporate policy.
Yeah. By the way, chat. By the way,
we'll see.
I went through various steps. I mean, lots of. Let's just say that there's some technical mumbo jumbo that you just couldn't possibly understand. This is a big brained stream. So super chats will show up. Super chats will show up on screen now, or they should. If they don't, I'm going to be very upset at my producer, not me, because I certainly didn't fuck it up. If that's what happens, so if anyone wants to, if you're like, hey, super chats, we'll definitely read them, obviously, during the debate and everything. So, the Chang Gang, Oh, the Yang Gang. Yang Gang shit is tomorrow. Oh, it's starting a little bit.
Energy. Who should the contenders be?
Oh, they're just saying words right now.
Yeah, 3 minutes 41 seconds roughly.
Yeah, but they're all setting up. Look at them. Look at them all setting up there.
I'm glad Biden's not tonight. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have the energy to deal with Joe fucking Biden right now.
Yeah, I'm not really. Want me to spam you with bits? It won't work. But I mean, if you subscribe, it'll show up. There you go. Hit that subscribe button. This should be a thing for if you hit the bell. So many people would hit the bell. I'm telling you. Anyone? I don't know what that is.
My hope for this debate, by the way, is I'm so concerned that, and this is the primary, so it's going to be a little bit different, obviously. Whichever Democrat wants to run against Trump needs to run on what they are going to do and not just be like, I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what Hillary did last time, and it was not good.
The people who already like Donald Trump don't give a fuck about the terrible things he does. That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, I'm not Trump. You need someone who's actually going to be like, here are the policies I want to enact, and here's how they are going to help you personally. Because there are a lot of people in this country who need that shit spelled out for them very clearly because they don't do research beyond other things themselves.
Rhetoric is the thing that works on them. I do think that Elizabeth Warren should probably shine here. She has a lot of neocons, so... this is kind of the people she shines against. Tulsi is as close as you can get. She's very good at speaking. It's a TV debate, so she's obviously, if she's not the youngest, she's definitely one of the youngest, and so that usually helps a lot with TV debate stuff. It's better to do it instead of like looking at Twitter and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I expect those two to probably come out on top. I would be very surprised if someone like Cory Booker didn't come in the top of the B tier, if that makes sense.
Booker's gonna, and I don't mean that this isn't it's not like a racial thing, but it is kind of, in the sense that I think he's gonna try and be a little bit like Obama to Electric Boogaloo.
Well, yeah,
I know you made the joke earlier, but I really think he's gonna try and present himself in such a way that it's like, I don't even
know if it's him, it's the Democrat. Well, that's what, like, the Democrats have been trotting him out as Obama too, which is,
which is pretty fucked up as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. So apparently this is I mean, the camera is swooping in. This is very dynamic. So I don't know, how long is it? 2 minutes, it seems.
Yeah, about 1 minute.
Oh, he's testing, the camera guy's just testing the arm control. That's what this is. This is just doing cals before the big game, like getting limber. That's all this is. Pulling an all-nighter here in Germany to watch this. Why Germany? Like, why would you... Yeah, we'll be doing commentary. We're also going to do at least a half hour after this. If it's super spicy, we could be here all night. I have no idea. But I woke up real early. By the way, guys, my Twitch followers will know this. If you don't follow me on Twitch, it's whatever. You should be shameful. And you get more of this kind of content, including Hugo sometimes. This is for everybody, but my Twitch follower knows I've been in Twitter followers. I have been dealing with electrician issues for like a month. It's all done today, guys. My oven works. I can cook a pizza. Oh, I'm so excited. It's one of those real nice ovens too, because your boy Alex, you might know our friend Alex from other stuff we do if you watch any of our other content. Alex works at Best Buy, and he got me a sweet deal on an oven. It's like real convection, so it doesn't have like the coils in there. Oh man, I'm looking over at Hugo because I'm excited, and Hugo is giving me literally fucking nothing. Doesn't care. Like, doesn't cook Hot Pockets. I don't like. No, that's a microwave. That's a microwave. You're right.
No. Give me some credit. When I cook Hot Pockets, it's in the oven.
Is it?
They are deserving of the oven. Yes.
There you go. And is your stream on YouTube dropping all the time? No, it seems fine. I'm uploading like fucking 6,000 kilobytes a second. Come on.
It's starting.
Yeah, it's starting, but they're just doing bullshit. So, yeah, and also, it wasn't just the oven. Half of my house was really, really old electric stuff, and so now I won't die in an electrical fire. So, all right, we'll turn this on. Hold on. Don't speak, Hugo. Don't speak.
Okay.
Say nothing.
Secretary Julian Castro, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, former Maryland Congressman John Delaney.
Okay, how's that volume, chat? Because I want it to be lower than Hugo, so.
Governor Jay Inslee, Minnesota
This
Senator
is the volume I am at.
How is that, chat? Can you guys hear it okay?
Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. From NBC News.
Turn it up. You want to turn it up?
The thing about Elizabeth Warren, too, is that if she won the primary, I think she'd do a lot better than Hillary, just on the fact that conservatives hate her as much as Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton has been the Satan of the Republican Party for like the last 20 years, which is super bizarre to me.
Hey, Afterek, thank you for the Jake Won't Die in a Fire Now with your Canadian dollar, dudes.
Is Biden even in this? He's in tomorrow's debate, which we also will be covering.
Oh, look at those butt plugs. Beautiful. Okay, I'll turn it up just a little bit.
Including immigration, the situation unfolding at our border, and the treatment of migrant children.
And we're going to talk about
And the treatment of migrant children.
Change. And of course, we'll talk
you mean
about
mistreatment?
Those camps where we're concentrating these children without soap or toothpaste. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll turn it up just a little bit, and then you guys can tune down if you'd like.
Tomorrow. The breakdown for each was selected at random. The candidates will have 60 seconds.
The NBC YouTube?
30
Really?
For
oh, this is on the NBC
because
website,
of
so
this
it's
large
fine.
field, not every person will be able to comment on every topic, but over the course of the next 2 hours,
God,
we
I
will
hate when
hear
there's
from
like
everyone. We'd also like to
and
ask the
people up there.
audience to keep the
We haven't
reactions to a minimum.
flashbacks of when
We are
Trump
not
was up.
going to be shy
Yeah.
about making sure
9
the
to
candidates stick
13 other
topic.
fucking
All right, so with
Republicans.
that business out of the way, I want to get to it. And we'll start this evening with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator,
Of course we
good evening
start
to
with
you.
Elizabeth. Let's do
You
it.
have many plans: free college, free childcare, government health care, cancellation of student debt, new taxes, new regulations, the breakup of major corporations. But this comes at a time when 71% of Americans say the economy is doing well, including 60% of Democrats. What do you say to those who worry this kind of significant change could be risky to the economy?
So I think of it this way. Who is this economy really working for? It's doing great for a thinner
Oh,
and
that's a
thinner
good way to
slice
take
at the
this.
top.
Is in the it's
doing
actually
great for giant
benefiting
drug
people at the
companies.
top.
It's just not doing great for people who are trying to get a prescription filled. It's doing great for people who want to invest in private prisons, just not for the African Americans and Latinx whose families are torn apart. Whose lives
Look
are
on Cory
destroyed,
Booker's face
and
there
whose
was
communities
a
are
little
ruined.
odd.
It's doing great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, just not for the rest of us who are watching climate change bear down upon us. When you've got a government, when you've got an economy
she said climate
that
change.
does great for
time
those
This
to-
is a
with
pretty
money
strong open
and
for her.
isn't
She's not
doing
pulling
great for
punches here. She's
everyone
like,
else,
yeah.
that is corruption, pure and simple.
And she's
We
opening
need
too,
to call
which I
it
think will
out.
leave an
We need
impact
to
on
attack
people,
it
so that's a
head
good
on,
thing.
And we need to make structural change in our government, in our economy, and in our country.
Senator Klobuchar.
I'm with that. Klobuchar.
Programs
Klobuchar?
like free
Klobuchar?
college, something you might do if you were, quote, a magic genie. To be blunt, are the government programs and benefits that some of your rivals are offering giving your voters, people, a false sense of what's actually achievable?
Well, first, the economy. We know
I
that
find
not
these
everyone
questions
is
to be
sharing in
incredibly
this
fucking
prosperity,
stupid.
And Donald Trump just sits in the
They
White
don't go
House
to the
and
Republicans and be
gloats
like,
about
you want to
wait,
expand.
wait,
so
wait,
many
wait.
people that
She
are
just-
having trouble affording college.
She just
and having
literally just
trouble
said
affording their
Donald Trump
premiums.
for no
So
reason.
I do get concerned about paying for college for rich kids. I do. But I think my plan is a good one, and my plan would be to first
College
of
for
all,
rich
make
kids? Fuck
community
you. That's an
college
incredibly
free,
dishonest way of
and
framing
make
this
sure
argument.
That everyone else
For anyone who
besides,
feels
that top
the
percentile
wants
to
gets
better
help with their
themselves.
education. My own dad and my sister got their first degrees with community college. There's many paths to success, as well as certifications. Secondly, I'd use Pell Grants. I doubled them.
Take a shot
from
every time someone
$6,000 to
mentions Trump,
$12,000
only
a
if you
year,
want to
and expanded
die.
to the number of families that get covered.
Bernie is
to
at
families
tomorrow's,
that make
not
up to
tonight's,
$100,000.
person in the
And then the third
chat.
thing I would
Yeah.
do is make it easier for students to pay off their student
Nah,
loans.
see, this is
Because I
bullshit.
can tell you this: if billionaires can pay off their yachts,
Would you like to
students should be
expound
able to
upon
pay off
that?
their student loans.
That's That's time. Thank you.
If billionaires can pay off their yachts, students should be able to pay off their student loans. That sounds good, but doesn't say anything about
how much
how,
fundamental
right?
change to the economy is desirable and how much is actually doable. In that vein, some Democrats want a marginal individual tax rate of 70% on the very highest earners, those making more than $10 million a year. Would you support that? And if not, what would your top individual rate be?
This economy has got to work for everyone. And right now we know
I don't like how he talks.
Isn't. And it's going to take all of us coming together to make sure.
You know,
that
I'm surprised they didn't wheel out a car for him to stand on during this.
En el éxito de esta economía. Pero si queremos hacer eso, necesitamos incluir cada persona.
We should also, if you're doing a drinking game, also do shots when people also repeat things in Spanish. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it's a thing that you can tell people do for like political points.
Hey, I appreciate. Okay, so I appreciate he just used Spanish. But also it felt like weird flex.
Record piles of cash, and the very wealthiest in this
like it felt pandery.
Of historic
wealth, like at least wait until later in the debate, maybe on a relevant topic like immigration, to like, I don't know, it felt a little like, this is the thing I have.
Yeah. Registration to bring in more voters and a new Voting Rights Act to get rid of the barriers that are in place now. That's how we each have a voice in our democracy and make this economy work for everybody.
That's time, sir. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer. If you want to answer the direct question, would you support a 70% individual marginal tax rate? Yes, no,
I would support a tax rate and a tax code that is fair to everyone. Tax capital 70%? At the same rate that you tax ordinary income. Take that corporate tax rate up to 20%.
Wow, they're actually holding him to the question a little bit.
To pay for the programs we're talking about.
That's time. Thank you.
That's time. You didn't answer it. No.
There is a debate in this party right now about the role of corporations, as you know. Senator Warren, in particular, put out a plan to break up tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google. You've said we should not, quote, be running around pointing at companies and breaking them up without any kind of process. Why do you disagree?
I don't think I disagree. I think we have a serious problem in our country with corporate consolidation. And you see the evidence of that in how dignity is being stripped from labor. And we have people that work full-time jobs and still can't make a living.
Someone says Hugo and Jake are being critical of this. I was expecting them to be slobbering these guys' knobs. Why?
What?
Why would you assume that? I'm incredibly critical of the side I tend to be on. I want the person who's the best person to be in the role to win the primary.
Well, not only that, we're not fucking neo-libs.
About corporate consolidation in the ag sector. So I feel very strongly about the need to check the corporate consolidation and let the free market work. And I'll tell you
this. You said the word free market and you said work after it.
I see every single day that this economy
that's red flag shit for me,
Americans.
Man. When you're like, the free market works.
From
no,
GDP to
a regulated market definitely works. Maybe it's to try to grab center people, though. I don't know.
We have an economy that works for everybody.
Probably, but I think that's the wrong thing to do in this case.
I know. I don't think, like, especially because you're debating Elizabeth Warren.
It's so stupid. The left has continued to retreat to the center continually, and then the right takes a step further right, and the left continues to allow the overton window to shift, and it's created so many fucking problems.
Law, what I will do is, number one, appoint judges that will enforce it. Number two, have a DOJ and a Federal Trade Commission that will go through the processes necessary to check this kind of corporate concentration. At the end of the day, we have too much of a problem with corporate power growing. We see that with everything from Citizens United and the way they're trying to
a lot of this
Washington. It's about
can be fixed by a high tax rate
that fights for the people in this country who need to have.
Hey, Maddie Tongs, thanks for the Patreon pledge.
I love actually applying fucking antitrust laws to companies that are already on the books would be nice. Anyway, sorry, you were in the middle.
Consolidation now in giant industries in this country. That hurts workers, it hurts small businesses, it hurts independent farmers, it hurts our economy overall, and it helps constrict real innovation and growth in this economy. Now look, we've had the laws out there for a long time to be able to
She does know her shit, though. She's so knowledgeable about this stuff.
courage in Washington to take on the giants. That's part of the corruption in this system. It has been far too long that the monopolies have been making the campaign contributions, have been funding the super PACs.
Yep, this is a really good point, man.
Sure their influence
this is another good point.
Felt in
She's gonna crush this, I think.
Decision that gets made.
I really want to hear what Tulsi Gabbard has to say, though,
I want to start
on this conversation.
I want to return government to the people. And
did you hear her Joe Rogan interview?
The names of the monopolists and saying,
she got a lot of free speech people there.
Yeah, free speech people.
Well, I mean, what she said was reasonable. I just, like, it clearly was targeted to the YouTube audience.
For decades, what would you do to
ensure
that women
are
paid fairly in this country?
Thank you very much for that question, Lester. You know, I grew up with a mother who raised my brother Joaquin and me as a single parent. And I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to rent a home and to worry about whether you're going to be able to pay the rent at the first of the month, and to see a mom work very, very hard.
That's his attempt to try and seem down to earth, but the fact that he feels the need to stipulate, I've rented a home before, like most people have?
The Equal Rights Amendment.
What?
Finally, in this country. And also pursue legislation so that women are paid equal pay for equal work in this country. It's past time that we
just
did
lost
and,
just about every center person at all. Hey, name already used. Thanks, my dude.
Women are paid
well,
what they
fine.
deserve.
You want to do it?
Right,
Go for it. Try yours. Try yours out.
Gabbard, your thoughts
I mean, just try.
I was just going to say, name already used $07 super chat. Thank you.
People deserve a president who will put your interests ahead of the rich and powerful. That's not what we have right now.
Taxation is the price we pay for society, but in that SpongeBob text.
On 9/11.
Yes, this but unironically, Night Shift. What are you talking about?
Libertarian.
Served over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East, and in Congress serve on the Foreign Affairs and Armed Services.
Did she say 9/11?
No, she said she got sent overseas. She was an ex-military
terribly high cost
so she's using
and for too long, our leaders have failed us, taking us from one regime change war to the next.
Yeah, someone says imagine a Bernie Warren ticket. I think that's
the guy to her left, our right, has a weird ass smile going.
This insanity must end. As president, I will take your hard-earned taxpayer dollars and instead invest those dollars into serving
doing
your
top
needs.
teeth
Things
smiles
like
only.
healthcare, a green
Nope,
economy, good-paying jobs, protecting
going.
our environment, and so much more.
Okay, that felt so fucking rehearsed. I didn't like that. I hate when it feels rehearsed.
Of the biggest city in the United States, but it's also one of the cities in the country with the greatest gap between the wealthy and the poor.
I don't want to sound sexist or anything, but Tulsi Gabbard said, I don't think that's sexist to think she's pretty.
We've been addressing income inequality in New York City by raising wages, by
like this guy, I think he's beautiful. Bill de Blasio, what a beautiful human being.
$15 minimum wage, paid sick days, pre-K for all things that make
I'm Screamity Ass says people at $5 super chat. People don't forget that Warren said she will take corporate money on the general. Yep, she admitted being corrupted. Here's the thing: I agree with Justice Democrats in the sense that I don't want them taking big money, but in the general election, do you think it's realistic at this point to not?
I would take it. I would take it to and also say to those corporations, I'm running on reducing this, but this is the system where it's kind of like similar to like when AOC isn't in burlap and she's a socialist. You know what I mean? Like she has to work within the system to get the system she wants, so she has to be capitalist right now. I mean, I'm fine if it helps you win the election. I don't really care. It's the primary stuff that I think shows a lot of standards. We talked over Bill. We talked right the fuck over Bill.
I think we need to do real things to help American workers and the American people. Right, this is the issue that all of us here on the campaign trail. We need to make sure everyone has a living wage.
Platitude.
And I've called for a doubling of the earned income tax
credit.
Hey,
Naveen R., thank you for the $1 Patreon. I love you deeply.
That will create a situation where people actually have a living wage. That gets right to
I do like this living wage talk. I love this talk. This is good.
It's not delivering the
it doesn't
results our
affect
kids
me,
need,
but I think it's very, very good for the
college
economy in general.
Post-high school career and technical training programs doing that. You know, I'm very different than everyone else here.
Warren's policy is wonk. It's definitely a point in favor. Is
wonk
good?
I created thousands of jobs.
Oh, geez, he's a business owner. He creates jobs. No!
Good business.
No!
Good job.
I want to die.
I don't know. Let's tell you.
I want to die.
The Obama administration gave me an award for lending to disadvantaged
unironically using the term job
Wait.
makes me
The
fucking sick.
Obama administration gave me an award for lending
income tax
to
credit,
poor people.
raising the minimum wage, and created paid family leave. And then we need to have a long-term strategy to make sure this country is competitive, and we're creating jobs everywhere in this country.
Governor Inslee, how would you address income inequality?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I think plans are great, but I'm a governor, and we got to realize the people who brought us the weekend, unions, are going to bring us a long.
Oh, that's a good point. I actually really like that point.
And I'm
We do
proud
need
of
unions.
standing up for unions. I've got
Unions
a
are
plan to
good.
reinvigorate collective bargaining so we can increase wages finally. I marched with the SEIU folks.
Okay, but that's-
It is not right that the CEO of McDonald's makes
I like many of these people's
2,100
individual
times more than the people
ideas.
singing
Do
cash
all of
at
them. Let's
McDonald's.
support
And the next
unions.
thing I'll do is put people
Higher
to work
marginal tax rates
in
at the
the
top
jobs
brackets.
of the present and the future.
Fucking higher minimum wage. All
Oh,
of these things.
he
Yes,
said
please.
Donald
He says
Trump.
wind turbines cause cancer. We know they cause jobs. And we know
Wind
that we can
turbines
put
cause cancer, we know they
millions
cause
of
jobs.
people to work
Houston
in the clean
Hilburn with a
energy jobs of
$2.
the future.
Who is this
Carpenters,
clown?
IBW's members.
Who is this
machinists,
clown?
doing
Durbin,
my state
Durbin,
today.
Durbin, Durbin.
And then we can do what America
He's a governor.
always
Durbin.
does.
Not sure of which
Lead
state.
the world and invent the future and put people at work. That's what we're going to do.
Congressman Ryan, President Trump, and you just referred to him, promised that manufacturing jobs were all
Tulsi
coming back
Yang?
to
I
places
don't like
like
Yang.
your home state of Ohio. Can you make that same promise?
I like UBI, but
Yes,
his
I
UBI
believe
is
you
trash.
can. But
This guy
first,
looks
let's say the president
terrified.
came, he said,
He
don't sell
does.
your house to people in Youngstown, Ohio. And in his administration, just
Ryan.
in the last 2 years, we lost $4,000 jobs at a General Motors facility.
He's trying really hard to remember that.
Throughout our community, General Motors got a tax cut. General Motors got a bailout. And then they have the audacity.
This guy's
to
gonna be like a
move
first
new
round
car that they're gonna
knockout. This
produce
guy's
to
not gonna
Mexico.
go very far.
Is someone
Family
gonna walk
members,
up and give
they
roses
have
out
to
to everyone
unbolt
but Tim
a
Ryan?
machine from the
'Cause-
factory floor, put it in a box, and ship it to China.
Oh,
My area
China.
where I come from in Northeast Ohio, this issue we're talking about here, it's been going on 40 years.
This guy-
This is not a new
this
Yeah,
guy
the
wants-
windmill, the windmill thing was definitely a prep. That was something him and his aides came up with, and we're like, that we got to get that talking point in there somehow.
This guy wants manufacturing jobs in the United States. Industrial policy.
Building electric vehicles. There's
Jesus
going to be
Christ.
30 million made in
It's
the next
not
Wait, hold on.
1957.
Hold on.
States. I want to dominate the solar industry.
Solar,
Manufacture
electric
those
cars.
here.
This isn't bad, actually. If you're going to say I want to create manufacturing jobs,
We've had an
these are the two you got to
industrial policy in
pick.
the United States for decades now, and it's basically been let giant corporations do whatever they want to do. Giant corporations have exactly one loyalty, and that is to profits. And if they can save a nickel by moving a job to Mexico or to Asia or to Canada, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So here's what I propose for an industrial policy. Start with a place where there's a real need. There's going to be a worldwide need for green technology, ways to clean up the air, ways to clean up the water.
I agree.
And we can be the ones
She
to
comes
provide
off
that.
as very,
We need to
like,
go
knowing her
tenfold
stuff.
in our research
And she's much
and
more, I
development
don't know how to
on
put this,
green
personable
energy
than
going
Hillary
forward.
sounded when she
my
talked.
God. Anyone is, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Can come and use
Because
that
obviously there's
research.
gonna be
They can
comparisons
make
drawn
all
between
kinds
her
of
and Hillary.
products from it, but they
But
have to be manufactured
probably
right
unwarranted
here
based
in
on
the
their very
United
different
States.
policies.
Ooh, that was hold on. You were
And then
talking,
we
and
have
it
to
was
double
very
down
stupid what
and
you said.
sell it around the
I actually
world.
wasn't listening
There's a
because what she said was so smart. It made whatever you said
$23 market
sound
coming
stupid.
for
John
green
Dare, thank you
products.
for the
We should be
dollar
the
redo.
leaders and the owners,
She
and
said
we should have
her
that
idea. That was
1.2
actually really
million
interesting. Her idea is we want
manufacturing
to be on the cutting edge of
We
green
can do this.
technology and stuff.
We're going to turn to
And if you want to
the issue of
use those
healthcare
technology
right now. I'm really trying
patents, you
understand
have to
where
be
there may
here
or
and
may
make
not
them.
be daylight
That's
between
actually
many people
interesting.
watching it at
I
home
actually
have health
dig
insurance
that.
coverage.
That's
The thing
not a
is,
bad
though,
idea
China
as far as
would
incentive is
abolish
concerned.
their private health
Sure, but
insurance
China
in favor
already
of
has a
government
known
run, just to show hands.
affinity, let's say, for stealing intellectual property. So even if
I
you try
agree.
and keep patents here,
I agree.
they're going to end up in China at some point, and bootlegs are going to get made.
$5. Watching with mild panic, hope we get someone who will inspire people to get out and vote. Good
Why is an
turnout is the only way
incremental
Dems win.
approach,
I
in your
agree.
view, better than a sweeping overhaul?
Well, I think it's a bold approach. It's something that Barack Obama wanted to do.
Houston Hilburn. Warren is the best candidate on the stage, but she's just too Native American for me. Oh God.
I am just simply concerned about
I know people have made fun of her for this like 1/16th Native American thing or whatever she is.
Exactly what
she's not. She's not though.
That's also just a thing ignorant white people, me being one of them, from the Midwest kind of say when it's true, because I'm like 1/16th Native American too. And without thinking about it, you might be like, oh, I'm 1/16th Native American, not realizing that, like, despite that being technically true, it's kind of like not relevant to anything, so it's better not to bring it up, especially in a political context.
No, but I'm pretty sure she got a test and it was wrong.
Okay.
But she was told that growing up.
All foam and no beer. We got nothing out of it. And so my proposal is to do something about pharma, to take them on, to allow negotiation under Medicare, to bring in less expensive drugs from other countries.
No.
And pharma thinks they're in Washington, but they don't own me.
When you're like my healthcare answer is to just like let's talk about it.
Medicare
Yeah,
for all
it means
would
nothing.
put
No.
essentially everybody on Medicare and then eliminate private plans that offer similar coverage. Is that the plan or path that you
would it eliminate private plans or just make them unnecessary?
I'm on Medicare for all, and let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke, and one of the #1 reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills.
This is obvious,
And
yeah.
that's not
I mean, this
just
is
for
the only
people who
correct
don't have
answer right now.
insurance. It's for people who have insurance. Look at the business model of an insurance company. It's to bring in as many dollars as they can in premiums and to pay out as few dollars as possible for your health care. That leaves families with rising premiums, rising co-pays, and fighting with insurance companies to try to get the health care that their doctors say that they and their children need. Medicare for all solves that problem. And I understand. There are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible, we just can't do it.
This is the part I was hoping she'd talk about.
Political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, healthcare is a basic human right, and I will fight.
She's coming out fucking strong. That's, I mean, that's what I want to fucking hear, man.
When you ran for Senate,
I like that the crowd enjoys that too. That's good.
Private insurance. This year, you're saying you're no longer sure. Can you explain why?
Oh, he's waffling.
My goal is to ensure that every American is well enough to live to their full potential because they have health care. In Laredo, Texas, I met a young man, 27 years old.
Oh, Jesus. I don't care about the anecdotes. I never care about these. They're so manufactured.
He was told he had glaucoma, and he was told untreated because he doesn't have health care, he'll be dead before the age of 40. So
Mean Boy Advance, I didn't know anything about these people coming in, but I'm already in love with Elizabeth. I'm glad that I guess we're an avenue for you. I think she's my front runner right now, so thank you very much for the $10, by the way. Very appreciative of
mental
that.
health care services is the county jail system today. And healthcare also has to mean that every woman can make her own decisions about her own body.
Okay,
and has access
all right.
to the care that makes that possible.
The abortion thing's good, though. He added on the abortion thing.
We enroll you in Medicare. If you're insufficiently insured, you can't afford your premiums, we enroll you in Medicare. But if you're a member of a union that negotiated
why
for
the
a
half
healthcare
step
plan
then?
Wait, hold on.
for you and your family, you're able to keep it. We preserve choice by making sure that everybody has
time is up, Congressman, but I do want to ask a follow-up on this one. Just to be very clear, I'll give you 10
I
seconds.
don't want the choice to be fucked over by an insurance company.
Well, I think it's okay to add. I think it's okay to be like, here's a private option.
Is not working for tens of millions
Sure,
of
but you should be able to completely have Medicaid. I don't care.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree.
That's right. So
Yes, opt into further care or whatever you believe is further care with a different insurance. Never.
It's nice that the debate. I'm actually surprised they're coming out so strong on this and being like,
this guy's yelling at him.
By the way, it should be noted that 100 million Americans. I mean, I think we should be the party that keeps what's working and fixes what's broken. I mean, doesn't that make sense? I mean, we should give everyone in this country health care as a basic human right.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yes.
But we should also give them the option.
Yes.
To buy private insurance.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Boom. That's exactly the plan I want. I'm not going to vote for this fucking guy because that's Elizabeth Warren's plan anyway. But like, yes, this is the correct
how
take.
would it have been for you last year if every one of your bills were paid at the Medicare rate? every single hospital administrator said they would close. And the Medicare for All bill requires payments to stay at current Medicare rates. So to some extent, we're basically supporting a bill that will have every hospital closed. I mean, my dad was a union electrician.
No, they'd be governmentally
fucking stupid. No,
they're not private anymore. That's the point.
You gave him. And I just always think about my dad and anything I would do from a policy perspective. He'd look at me and he'd say, good job, John, for getting health care for every American. But why are you taking my health care
I've let this
away?
play out a little bit because I'm fascinated to hear the daylight between you.
Fuck your dad.
I think we're talking about
people out here dying because they can't get insulin.
Another bill. Really what we're talking about is our objective, making sure that every single sick American in this country is able to get the health care that they need.
He started off really great.
Medicare for All is the way to do that.
Boom.
I also think that employers will recognize how much money will be saved by supporting a Medicare for All program. A program that will reduce the administrative costs, reduce
I feel like we're walking a tightrope with these fuckers.
and make sure that everyone
The
gets
linking
that
of
quality health care
to employment is also a huge problem in this country.
Is this a live stream for liberal viewers? You can be whatever you want, but you're not going to like it if you're a Republican. It's the Democratic primary debate.
Taking the best of these ideas, but making sure unequivocally that no sick American goes without getting the care that they need, regardless of how much or little money they have in their pocket.
I like that.
Let me turn to Senator Booker on this. Senator Booker, explain to me where you are. This is hugely important to people, so tell us where you are.
If it's not Medicare for all, it's wrong.
We're talking about this as a healthcare issue, but in communities like mine, low-income communities, it's an education issue because kids who don't have healthcare are not going to succeed in school. It is an issue for jobs and employment because people who do not have good healthcare do not succeed at work. It's even a retirement issue because in my community, African Americans have a lower life expectancy because of poorer healthcare. And so where I stand is very clear. Healthcare is not just a human right, it should be an American right. And I believe the best way to get there is Medicare for all.
Okay,
but I have
he said it right. Hold on.
this. When I am president of the United States, I'm not going to wait. We have to do the things immediately. That
he's just going to emergency it?
And on this debate, I'm sorry.
Oh,
there are too many people profiteering off of the pain of people in America.
He's saying good things. That right there, I think, is going to make
I'm
people
concerned
go,
he's
I
going
don't
to
want
make
it.
I'm concerned he's going to do a heel turn at the end here.
While Medicare's overhead is only at 2%. We can do this better, and every single day I will be fighting to give people more access at more affordable costs until we get to my goal, which is every American having health care.
Time is up, Senator. I want to move back, if I can, to Congressman Gabbard.
Specifically say Medicare for all, though, or anything of that nature. He just said insurance for every American, which is vague at best.
In profits out of the healthcare system. $23 billion, and that doesn't count the money that was paid to executives, the money that was spent lobbying Washington. We have a giant industry that wants our healthcare system to stay the way it is because it's not working for families, but it's sure as heck working for them. It's time for us to make families come first.
It should not be an option.
She does good at the impassioned speech bit.
All
right, which is something Hillary was shit
to
at.
deny women coverage for their exercise of their right of choice. And I am the only candidate here who has passed a law protecting a woman's right of reproductive health and health insurance. And I'm the only candidate who has passed a public option. And I respect everybody's goals and plans here. But we do have one candidate that's actually advanced the ball. And we got to have access for everyone. I've done it as a public option.
We are doing tomorrow's debate as well.
I'm fascinated by this, Senator.
I just want to say there's 3 women up here that have fought pretty hard for a woman's right to choose.
Got him! Hey, thank you. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure all of them have done something. He's just a governor. You know, he's just a governor.
And the idea I put out there, the public option, which the governor was just talking about, this idea is that you use Medicare or Medicaid without any insurance companies involved. You could do it either way. And the estimates are 13 million people would see a reduction in their premiums. 12 more million people would get covered. So I think it is a beginning and the way you start and the way you move to universal health care.
Secretary Castro, this one is for you. All of you on stage support a woman's right to an abortion. You all support some version of a government health care option. Would your plan cover abortion, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, it would. I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. What that means is that just because a woman, or let's also
I don't disagree.
Wait,
I just find the phrase
shut.
funny.
A trans female.
Hey,
is poor,
he did trans
doesn't
rights.
mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise.
I've never heard that in a
right
presidential
choose.
debate
so
ever.
I absolutely would cover the right to have an abortion. More than that, everybody in this crowd and watching at home knows that
Houston
in
Hilburn,
our country today,
Amy Klobucht out
person's
here
right to choose
bullying
is under
centrists.
assault in places like Missouri, in Alabama, in Georgia. I would appoint judges to the federal bench that understand the precedent of Roe v. Wade and will respect it.
Okay,
in addition to that,
I like that.
Make sure that we fight hard as we
These
transition
debates are
our
good
healthcare
because it
system
makes someone,
to one
whoever's at the
where
top,
everybody
if someone at the
can
bottom
get
has a
and
really good
exercise that
idea,
right.
they kind of have
Senator
to meet
Warren,
that
would
shit.
you put limits on any limits on abortion?
I would make certain that every woman has access to the full range of reproductive health care services, and that includes birth control, it includes abortion, it includes everything for a woman. And I want to add on that, it's not enough for us to expect the courts to protect us. 47 years ago, Roe versus Wade was decided, and we've all looked to the courts all that time as state after state has undermined Roe, has put in exceptions, has come right up to the edge of taking away protection.
Thanks for the second dollar, buddy.
We now have an America where most people support Roe versus Wade. We need to make that
Senator
federal law.
Thank you. Jose?
Federal law.
Senator
Not
Hooker,
just
I want to come back
not
on
just
the
a
discussion
Supreme
we were
Court.
having about health
like
and the opioid crisis. You represent a
It
state
would be basically impossible unless you had supermajorities in both
should pharmaceutical companies
and the House.
that manufacture
I find
these
it
drugs be
very
held
unlikely that that's
criminally
going to happen with current gerrymandering.
Well, if
with
be
how
held criminally liable because
you'll get a
they are
supermajority
liable and responsible. This is one of the reasons why
you're likely to have a supermajority.
I agree with what she said. I just find many roadblocks.
The supermajority happens is more likely when you replace an incumbent because it means that there was a lot of turnout.
Cities like mine have been seeing how we've tried to arrest
NP,
our
thanks for
way
$2.
out of addiction for
I appreciate you
too
deeply.
long.
You're a lovely
It is time
person.
that we have a national urgency to deal with this problem and make the solutions that are working to actually be the law of our land and make the pharmaceutical companies that are responsible help to pay for that.
Congressman O'Rourke, how would
Mean
you
Boy Advance, thank you for the $5 dues. Trans rights. By the way, it's your boy Caligula Salad. My
largest
YouTube
prison
username
population
sucks.
on the face
and
of the
I'm too
planet.
lazy to change it.
Many
Hey,
are
thank
there
you very
for
much,
nonviolent
Caligula
drug
Salad,
crimes,
and yes,
including possession
rights.
of marijuana at a time that more than half the states have legalized it or decriminalized
Okay, we're going
it.
to talk about pot now.
Despite
Federal
what Purdue Pharma has done, their connection to the opioid crisis and the overdose
Alan
deaths that we're
Cumbus, hey,
seeing
thank you for
throughout
the
this
$5
country, they've been
Patreon
able to
pledge.
act with
I love you
complete
deeply.
impunity
I
and pay
appreciate
no
you very
consequences,
much.
not a single
That helps
night
a lot.
in jail. Unless there's accountability and justice, this crisis will continue. In my administration, we will hold them to account. We will make sure that they pay a price, and we will help those who've been victims of this malfeasance in this country, get them treatment and long-term care.
I know immigration is on a lot of your minds here, and I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in a moment. We need to take a break. We'll be back with more from Miami after this.
All right.
Okay, first commercial. So far, I think Warren's ahead by a decent amount.
I really liked a couple of the other people, in there. By the way, if you want to super chat now, so you don't feel like you're interrupting, it'd be a great time. You have about 90 seconds. I mean, not that you have to, of course. I just, if you're feeling that.
Someone says, I'm getting weird vibes from Warren. I don't trust the DNC spotlighting her. Why?
Oh, the DNC. Okay, so how this works is when they basically give the most action to the people that polled the highest entering the debates, according to NBC polls. So Bernie Sanders gave us $2. I should be on tonight as well as tomorrow.
Is that your Bernie Sanders impression?
No, that was me. Well, I guess, yeah, that's the impression of that Bernie Sanders. That exact person, how they talk in real life. Because they're not that.
Yeah, someone says, I sense a big shift to the left. I am noticing what they're talking about and the sort of direction the conversation is going is more to the left than it was even in the 2016 primaries.
He pushed the fuck out of that last year. They heard us.
It's interesting.
You know what, though? I think they actually heard, okay, this is why Hillary sucks. And Biden's, the only guy doing that. Hey, Molly Sisson, thank you very much for the $5. Kevin and Amelia with $1.99. Go Liz. I like Elizabeth Warren as well. She is right now both our front runners. Thank you very much. Original Rachel with $2. Take my money. I will.
Yeah.
I will
Someone says
take
if we
it.
legalize weed, we need amnesty for those in jail now for weed
I
charges.
absolutely agree.
Yes,
100%.
Morally and financially, it makes the most sense.
And get rid of private
Absolutely.
prisons. All right, it's back on. It's back. Has Kamala had a lot to say? She's on tomorrow, dude.
Been in the news, especially this
The
week.
cop is on tomorrow.
There are
No weed in
documented
front of the
children
cop.
being held alone in detention.
Talk about the
Even as close as
camps.
Homestead,
It's
Florida,
camp
right here,
time.
less than 30 miles from where we are tonight. Fathers and mothers and children are
This guy's
dying
pissed.
trying to enter the United States
Pissed.
of America. We saw that image today
All right.
that broke our hearts.
This is
They
where
had
we
names.
separate.
Oscar Martinez and his 23
So far, they haven't brought up
daughter
Trump as
Valeria
much as I
died
thought they would, which is a
trying
good
to
sign.
cross the river.
Fight the
There's been a
traffic.
couple
Silence.
mentions,
What
but
am I fighting? Why?
Last
Why
month,
fight
more
him?
than 130,000 migrants were apprehended at
They
the
seem
southern
fine.
border.
Everyone's fine.
Secretary Castro, if you were president today, hoy, what would you specifically do?
Thank you very much, Jose. I'm very proud that in April I became the first candidate to put forward a comprehensive immigration plan. And we saw those images. Watching that image of Oscar and his daughter Valeria is heartbreaking. It should also piss us all off.
Hey, hey,
Lily
I like
Love
that.
We're president today.
with $2. Go far left, baby. To more
And
socialism
it should
for
spur
all.
us to action. If I were president today,
Writer Chick
I would
Forever
sign an
for
executive order
$5.
that would
I can
get rid
audibly
of
hear the
Trump's
Minecraft health
zero
bar
tolerance
oof
policy,
noise
the Remain in
whenever
Mexico policy,
Elizabeth
and
Warren
the metering
speaks after
policy.
somebody
This
before her
metering
was
policy
too
is
wishy-washy to
basically
state
what
anything.
prompted
That's a good
Oscar
super
and Valeria
chat.
to
More
make
of that.
risky
More
swim
of that.
across
Writer
the
Chick?
river.
Obviously
They have
you're
been
right.
playing
That's very good.
games with people who are coming and trying to seek asylum at our ports
Hey,
of
I like
entry.
how mad he is.
Oscar and
I like how
Valeria
mad he
went to a
is.
port of entry, and then they were denied the ability to make an asylum claim. So they got frustrated, and they tried to cross the river, and they died because of that.
On day one, sorry.
On day
I'm just
one,
gonna ask you
I
for
would do
30
that
seconds.
executive order that would address metering, and then I would follow that up in my first 100 days with immigration reform that would honor asylum claims, that would put undocumented immigrants, as long as they haven't committed a serious crime.
I find the
on a
question
pathway to
on your
citizenship,
first day
and
to
then
be
go the
incredibly
root
stupid.
cause of the issue, which is we need a Marshall
I'm
Plan
probably gonna fucking
for
find out what the
Honduras
different
and
rooms in the White House are in the
Guatemala
first day. What the fuck are you
so that
talking
people can
about?
find safety and opportunity at
Gets
home
done in politics
instead
in a
of coming to the
day,
United
unless you're a
States to seek it.
goddamn
Senator
dictator.
Booker, what would you do on day one? And this is a situation that the next president will inherit.
I like my country like I like my whiskey,
La
with
situación
no
ahora es
ice.
inaceptable.
That's a good one. That's
El
good.
presidente ha atacado,
he's doing
ha
the Spanish.
demonizado los inmigrantes. Es inaceptable. Voy a cambiar este. On day one, I will make sure that number one, we end the ICE
I appreciate the
policies and customs and border
bilingualism, but
policies
again,
that
it
are
feels like a
violating human
stunt.
rights.
Maybe
At
I'm
least
just
in this
cynical.
particular, in this section, I'm fine with it because it makes sense because it's an issue that's going to primarily affect people mostly in the southern states, maybe people who have family across the
Reinstating
border.
DACA. There we go.
Speak Spanish.
And to make sure that people that are here on temporary protected status can stay and remain here. And then finally, we need to make sure that we address the issues that made Oscar and Valeria come in the first place by making major investments in the Northern Triangle, not like this president is doing, by ripping away
He just
the
said this
resources we
president.
need to
He didn't
actually
say Donald
solve this
Trump.
problem.
That is good
We
coaching.
cannot
That's good
surrender our
coaching.
values in the fact that
Jeffrey
we're gonna
E.
get border
Patron, on your
security.
first day
We
as
actually
president,
will
how
lose
many hot
security
pockets
and
would
our
you
values.
eat, Hugo?
Oh, they'd probably be really
I'd probably
gourmet.
ask him if there's like secret presidential hot pocket flavors that they lock away at Area 51.
Drone strike
If not,
hot
I'm
pockets.
abdicating the presidency.
My plan
That's all I
also
wanted.
includes getting rid of Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationality Act to go back to the way we used to treat this when somebody comes across the border, not to criminalize desperation, to treat that as a
That's a
civil
really good.
violation.
Don't criminalize desperation. That's
And
a
here's
good.
why it's
That's
important.
a good
We
like
see
little
all of this
snippet.
horrendous family separation. They use that law, Section 1325, to justify under the law separating little children from their families. And so I want to challenge every
The
single
family
candidate on this
separation is
stage
legitimately
to
one of the
support
most
repeal
obvious
of
and
Section
fucked up things the
1325.
current
I like that.
administration is doing.
I like that.
As my friend here said, I agree with him on that issue, but folks should understand that the separation of children from families doesn't just go on at our border. that happens in our communities is ICE are ripping away parents from their American children, spouses, and the like, and are creating
Immigration is so
fear
fucked here.
in cities
Like,
all
we're so
across this country
xenophobic.
where parents are afraid to even drop their kids off to school or go to work. We must
Jose,
end
we
those
have to
policies
change our
as well.
discussion about immigration in this country, because look at the bottom line here. That tragic photo of that parent, that child.
Oh, is he gonna fuck that up?
And I'm saying this
Oh
as a
no!
father.
Get out!
Every American should feel that in their heart, and every American should say that is not America. Those are not our values. But we have to get under the skin of why we have this crisis in our system, because we're not being honest about the division that's been fomented in this country. The way that American citizens have been told that immigrants somehow created their misery and their pain and their challenges. For all the American citizens out there who feel you're falling behind, who feel
I was
American
concerned he
dream's
was
not
going to
working
go
for you. The
neo-lib
immigrants
with
didn't
it
do
and
that
try
to
and
you.
what about
The big
ism or something.
corporations did that to you.
Chill with $5.
Chill with a $5 super chat. On day one, how would you solve our problems like some kind of galaxy brain superhero? Make sure to be bilingual and mention at least 5 anecdotes.
We're going to be on their side every single time against those big corporations who created this mess to begin with. And remind people we're all in this together.
I don't
if
think
we
this
don't
is
change
necessarily
that
a
debate, that
corporate
politics
issue.
that's holding us back.
No,
we won't get all
he's
these
just trying to
reforms
get the
people are talking about.
buzzwords
That's
in
what
there.
we need to do as Democrats.
Although there are some of the camps with are
¿Qué haría
private.
usted en el primer día, si usted es presidente, sobre esta realidad que está ocurriendo? What would you do, Congressman, day one?
That'd be hilarious if he said that to him and he's like, I don't speak Spanish, sorry.
Persona con el respeto y dignidad que merecen como humanos. We
Hey,
would
thanks,
not
Chill. I
turn
appreciate
back
you.
Valeria and her
Poppin'
father, Oscar.
cherries.
We would accept them into this country and follow our own asylum laws. We would not build walls. We would not put kids in cages. In fact, we would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been separated already. And we would not criminally prosecute any family who is fleeing violence
for the repeal
and
of Section
persecution.
1325.
We would make sure
Secretary, let him finish, and I will give you his policy.
But when they talk over each other.
Yes.
We would not detain any family fleeing violence, in fact, fleeing the deadliest countries on the face of the planet today. We would implement a family case management program so they could be cared for in the community at a fraction of the cost. And then we would rewrite our immigration laws in our own image. Free dreamers forever from any fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens here in this country.
That's good.
Invest in solutions in Central America, work with regional
They should
stakeholders.
debate Trump in Spanish. That's not fair. He barely speaks English. You can't expect that.
Invest in Central American countries. That sounds like nation building, but maybe it's just
families is that they're using Section 1325.
United States has fucked up Latin America enough. Let's just let it be. Let's maybe hands off.
The parents and then separate them.
So that's why I think like eliminating,
have called to end
stopping the drug war by legalizing it and making the cartels not have money. Like this is something you can do to help without actually going into countries
I
and
just
doing
think it's a mistake, Beto. I think it's a mistake, and I think that if you truly want to change the system, then we got to repeal that section. If not, then it might as well be the same policy.
Let me respond to this very briefly.
I really want Beto to just drop the fuck out and remain as a politician in Texas. Seriously.
If you're fleeing desperation, then I want to make sure that you're treated with respect.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true.
And if we do that, I don't think it's asking too much for people to follow our laws when they come to this country.
I'm talking about millions of folks. A lot of folks that are coming are not seeking asylum. A lot of them are undocumented immigrants, right? And you said recently that the reason you didn't want to repeal Section 1325 was because you were concerned about human trafficking and drug trafficking. But let me tell you what. Section 18, Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Title 21, and Title 22 already cover human trafficking.
Okay, so he knows
I think that you should do your homework on this issue. If you did your homework on this issue, you would know that we should repeal this section.
This is an issue that we should and could be talking about for a long time, and we will for a long time.
Can we talk about the conditions as to why people are coming here?
Let's let Lester,
because
Savannah. I know it's just we could go on.
But rather than talk
I
about
like when people try and awkwardly push into the conversation because they know they haven't talked in a while and they know they need the face cam.
Congressman, you'll get your chance. Let's continue the discussion. Senator Klobuchar, let's talk about what Secretary Castro
we got
just
it.
said.
Like a Power Ranger villain.
No longer have it be a crime to illegally cross the border. Do you support that? Do you think it should be a civil offense only? And if so, do you worry about potentially incentivizing people to come here.
Spamming the porn links. I'm gonna keep hiding you, no matter what channel you try and use. So you can fuck off now.
Look at his proposal, but I do think you want to make sure that you have provisions in place that allow you to go after traffickers and allow you to go after people who are violating the law. What I really think we need to step back and talk about is the economic imperative here.
Okay, but everybody who crosses the border illegally violates the law.
70 of our Fortune 500 companies are headed up by people that came from other countries. 25% of our U.S. Nobel laureates were born in other countries. We have a situation right now where we need workers in our fields and in our factories. We need them to start small businesses. We need their ideas. And this president has literally
is the United States
at a time
under
where our economy needs immigrants.
replacement rate yet, or are we just on track for it?
Bill that passed the Senate with Republican support to upgrade that
like
bill to make it as good as possible and get it done. It brings the debt down by $158 billion. It gives a path to citizenship for people who can become citizens, and it would be so much better for our economy in America.
That's time. Thank you.
We're 16% below replacement rate.
Crime to illegally cross the border,
To maintain population. Not necessarily you need to maintain the population, but economically speaking, in capitalism, you kind of do.
That will allow you to prosecute people for coming over here if they're dealing in drugs and other things. That's already established in the law, so there's no need to repeat it. And I think it's abhorrent. We're talking about this father who got killed with his daughter, and the issues here, the way these kids are being treated. If you go to Guantanamo Bay, there are
this guy's terrible in his presentation.
They get better health care than those kids that have tried to cross the border in the United States. That needs to stop. And I think the president should immediately ask doctors and nurses to go immediately down to the border and start taking care of these kids. What kind of country are we running here where we have a president of the United States who's so focused on hate and fear and division? And what has happened now, the end result, is now we've got kids literally laying in their own snot with 3-week-old diapers that haven't been changed. We've got to tell this president that is not a sign of strength, Mr.
I didn't think he was going to say snot there.
Sign of weakness.
I think he caught himself. Because he kind of said snot.
Jose asked the question, if you're president on day one, what will you do with the fact that you will have families here? There's been a lot of talk about what you'll do in the first 100 days, about legislation. What will you actually do with these families? How will you care for them?
Elbow bang ASMR, bitches.
Well, this is a related and
I better see some super chats for the elbow ASMR. You got what you did not expect. That's extra. Okay, that's like getting that's sour cream, lettuce, and tomatoes. Okay.
I do find Guantanamo Bay to be real fucked up. I agree. In the chat asking about it.
That people are profiting off of
An
incarceration.
out-of-country black site is the most disgusting, un-American thing I could possibly think of. If there's people who are criminals, lock them up in a prison, a supermax prison in the United States. If you're having them out of the country, you're probably doing fucked up shit with them, as we saw at Guantanamo.
Solve this problem. Donald Trump isn't solving this problem. We've seen under his leadership a surge at our border. We solved this problem.
Riley Smith, $2. It makes me really nervous. They're already
why people are being driven here
no,
in the first place.
That's pretty standard. They're not being crazy.
I think all the guys on the edges want to be in the conversation.
So.
Master Nil, watching this at work and upsetting coworkers. Turn it up.
For border security, we can have both.
Oh, there's the porn link again. Why do you think this is?
I got it. What would you do on day one? Same question I just asked Cory Booker. I have yet to hear an answer from anyone on this stage. What will you do with the families that will be here?
There is no reason for the detention and separation of these children.
Beautiful.
They should be released.
That's beautiful.
Pending their hearings, and they should have a hearing, and the law should be followed. That's what should happen. And we should do what we're doing in Washington State. I'm proud that we've passed a law
Guantanamo Bay or baby concentration camps, which is worse, Hugo? The children, obviously. Because at least the people at Guantanamo, some people have been innocent and accidentally locked up in Guantanamo.
The fact, I don't like the no trials, but yeah.
But children being locked up is never acceptable.
Children can't actually commit crimes. Cole Wilson, 1387, quote, laying on their own snot.
Donald Trump the other day tried to threaten me. He thought it was a threat to tell me that he would send refugees in Washington State if we passed the law that I passed. And I told him that's not a threat at all. We welcome refugees into our state.
Okay, that's decent.
We recognize diversity as a strength.
That's
This
decent.
is how we
I like
built
that guy.
America.
That's
that
fine.
tradition is going to continue if I'm president of the United States.
Well, you're not, but like that's
Switch to
decent.
another topic now. We've got a lot to get through. Let's talk.
My
We need to talk
grandfather was
about.
actually separated from his family when he came to this country.
We're going to talk about Iran right now because we're working against the
Oh,
clock.
God.
Tankers have been
Oh, no.
attacked. A U.S. drone has been shot down. There have been disturbing threats
Okay,
issued by both
I'm
the
waiting for
US
Tulsi
and
not to
Iran
say,
leadership.
let's go to
I'd like
fucking
if you
war.
can just for a moment to put aside how you think we may
If
have
a
gotten
single
here, but what
person
I wanna
fucking
know
insinuates they
is how
want to
you
go to
dial
war
it
with
back.
Iran, I'm
So
going
a
to blow
show
my
of
goddamn
hands, who
brains
is
out.
president
Well,
would
don't do
sign
that,
on to
'cause
the
there's a
2015
couple neolibs up
nuclear
here,
deal
and
as it
you'll be
was
forced
originally
to.
negotiated.
And I will.
I'm
like,
not saying we're going to go to war, but we got to protect America.
In
No,
your
fuck you.
in your death, I will also
First and
lose this
foremost,
channel
it
because
was
you
a
off
mistake
yourself
to pull
while we're
out of
streaming.
that deal. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this
I'll have
hostility
nothing.
now is because Donald Trump is marching us to a far more dangerous situation. Literally, he took us out of a deal that gave us transparency into their nuclear program and pushed back a nuclear breakout
I agree.
10, 20 years. And now
That's
we see
good,
Iran
man.
threatening to go further.
Yeah,
and we're
Trump
being
pulling
pulled
out of the
further and
Iran
further
deal
into
is
this
one of the
crisis.
dumbest fucking
We
things.
need
You're
to
gonna snot your
renegotiate and
goddamn
get back into
snot
that.
out,
I'm
Hugo.
not going to have a
That's in
primary
his top
platform
five.
to say
Yeah.
unilaterally I'm going to rejoin that deal.
Cole
because
Wilson.
when I'm president of the United States,
I
I'm going to do the
respect the
best I
opinions
can
on
to
refugees,
secure
but
this
Washington State
country
diverse
and
is a
that
long
region
shot.
and make sure
It's
that if I
diverse
have
in
an
places.
opportunity to leverage
They're
a
not
better
great
deal,
with their
I'm
Native
gonna do it.
Americans.
All right,
though.
Senator Klobuchar, I'd like you to answer that question because you said you would negotiate yourself back into the Iranian agreement. Can you argue that that nuclear pact, as it was ratified, was a good deal?
Yes, it was.
It was imperfect, but it was a good deal for that moment.
Imperfect,
I
but
would've
a good deal for
worked
that moment.
To get longer sunset periods, and that's something we could negotiate to get back in the deal. But the point is, Donald Trump told us when he got out of it that he was going to give
Why
us a
would
better
Iran
deal. Those were his
negeotiate with
words.
America
and now
at this
we are
point?
a month away.
There's no
Because the
reason
next
to.
time there's a
Iranians
president who
who claim
disagrees,
now
they're
that
just going
they're
to pull
going
out
to blow
again.
the caps
Donald Trump
on
has
enriching,
undermined the
uranium.
legitimacy
And
of
the
any
Iranians have told us
pact we
this.
make with
And
any
so that's
country.
where we are right now. He has made us less safe than we
Justice
were
for
when
our
he became
lost
president. So
drone
what I would
lives
do
matter.
is negotiate us back
Kamala-
into that agreement.
wasn't
is
the
stand
point-
with our
if
allies
Kamala
and
Harris
not
was here,
live
she'd be like,
At least I
unlimited
more
was to
more
keep
female
China out of
drone
which is what he has
pilots.
done. And then, finally, I would make sure that if there is any
to not worry about it
possibility
when
of
it
conflict,
crashes
and we're having
or
this
gets blown
debate in
up.
Congress
Yeah.
right now.
Like if we're
that
gonna
he
send
comes to
people
Congress
boots on the
for an
ground every time a
authorization of
drone
military
gets
force.
shot
I
down,
would
what's
do
the
that.
drone of
This
the drone?
president is literally
That just sounds
every
like
single day
imperialism with
10
extra
minutes away
steps.
from going
Wait
to
a
war,
second.
One
We would
tweet
never
away from
do
going
that.
to war, and I don't think we should conduct foreign policy
is up.
in our bathrobe at 5 in the morning,
Congresswoman
which is
Gabbard,
what he does.
Congresswoman
Okay,
Gabbard,
nice snipe at Trump, but like that's not really policy.
You've said you
Kayla
were-
Elaine,
you were
hey,
signed
don't-
off on
don't
the
try and
2015
jab
deal.
at
Would
Donald Trump.
would
You're
you
not gonna
insist,
win.
though,
He's
that it
shameless.
address
Sorry, Kayla, I
He's
can't read
just
your super
like-
chat now.
Let's deal with the situation where we
shamed.
are, where this
Thanks, guys.
president
Can't
and
stop
his
watching.
chicken hawk
So
cabinet
thanks for helping take
have
the
led us
depression out
to
of
the
this for me.
brink of war.
Hold on, I
with
really
Iran.
want to hear if she's gonna.
I served in the war in Iraq
Please
at the
don't
height
be
of the war in
hawkish.
2005.
Don't do it.
A war that took over 4,000 of my brothers and sisters in uniforms,
platitudes.
lives. The American people need to understand that this war with Iran would be far more devastating,
Okay, good.
far more
Okay,
costly
she's
than
against
anything
it.
How many
that we ever
children
saw in
died in
Iraq. It
Iraq?
would take
Let me
many
look.
more
Yeah,
lives.
please
It would
look that up. I don't
exacerbate
know
the
if we have-
refugee
we don't have
crisis,
numbers on that.
and it wouldn't
There's
be
no
just
way.
contained within Iran. This would turn
estimates
into
for sure.
a regional
Because it's
war.
probably more than
This is why
4,000.
it's so important that every one of
Oh,
us,
okay.
every single
Between
American,
2003 and
stand up
2011,
say, no
coalition
war
forces killed
with
at least
Iran.
1,200
We need to get back
children
into
in
the
Iraq.
Iran nuclear agreement.
So it's okay.
We need to negotiate.
Only
how
killed a
we can
quarter of the
improve
number
it.
of children
It was an
that they
imperfect
killed
deal.
of
There are
adult
issues
soldiers of
like
ours.
their
Wow,
missile
we need to
develop-
even the
their
books,
missile
obviously,
development
and
that
ruin
needs
them
to
more.
be addressed. We can
Fuck.
do both simultaneously to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon and preventing us from going
Time
to
is up,
war.
and I have just a very quick follow-up. Well, what would your red red line be?
She called Trump's cabinet chicken hawks? Not bad.
Look, obviously, if there was an attack against the American, our troops, then there would have to be a response. But my point is, and it's important for us to recognize this, is Donald Trump and his cabinet, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and others, are creating a situation that just a spark would light off a war with Iran, which is incredibly dangerous. That's why we need to de-escalate tensions.
Like to
Trump
think
needs to get
war
back
at this
into the
point
Iran
after
nuclear deal
Iraq and Afghanistan,
swallow his pride,
the
put
United States
American
by and
people
large, more
first.
people would be against it than would be
are
for it,
up
unless
against
a
a
like
hard
9/11
war.
level
We
event
will
happened
have
to get people worked up into some sort of jingoistic fervor.
We'll continue our questioning next with Chuck Todd, Rachel Maddow. Stick around. We'll have a lot more with some very
The guy on the right, his eyes are
just
way
ahead.
too close together. It bugs me.
Well, he chose that, okay? And that's a choice we have to sit with. Okay, again, if you want to do a super chat thing, I think you have 90 seconds or so. No, you have 4 minutes, so 4 minutes. So I like what
We're about halfway through, by the way, everyone.
Hey,
Good
not bad.
job.
Not bad.
We're doing it. We're surviving. Make Iran Persia again.
Warren is my number 1 right now.
Yeah.
Julian Castro is my number 2. What do you think? Castro's my number 2 right now. No, nothing at all. Too worried about the porn bot? Still worried about it?
Were you saying something? I was trying to read the porn bot
talking
stuff.
to you.
What?
I'm talking to you.
I'm missing the beginning of like everything you say.
I'm talking to you. Can you hear me now? Is there a gate? Is there a noise gate over my goddamn?
I don't know. You're like your audio's cutting in and out for me.
Over my goddamn shit. Is my noise gate?
Brittany, who has surprised you guys the most so far tonight? For me, it's Warren. I already liked her, but the fact that she's coming out so strong, on these policies and kind of when people are going a little bit too far right, she's like, no, and here's why that won't work. So I think the fervor and the enthusiasm is there, which is nice.
Julian Castro for me is my surprise. He's a very good idea guy. I don't think he has the power to win a presidency. I don't think he has the power to like place very highly in the primaries, but I would like him to get past this stage and to get to a later debate to kind of push everybody else. I don't like anything Beto's saying, really. I mean, he's just sort of going over shit he reversed. Lily loves the $2. Nothing could make me okay with war with Iran. I agree.
I find the fact that Donald Trump still has a roughly 43% approval rating shocking.
Yeah.
It shocks me. It makes me very concerned about the values or lack thereof of the people in this country.
Well, I think,
like, holy shit.
To be fair,
either people just aren't paying any attention,
or
they really don't care what happens as long as the guy who's on their team, air quotes, wins.
So what usually happens is they don't poll terribly young people for these. So because polling inherently is like phone line calling, newspapers, door to door, and they do like residences and not apartment buildings, and you know what I mean. So inherently, they usually get an older, I guess like sample. Writer Trick Forever with $5. The only appropriate response to somebody saying yes to an Iran war is that quote, here, fill this out since you want to be a fuck clown. I think that's fuck clown. A fucking clown? You want to be a fucking clown? JPEG? Yes. Yes, I agree with that. Which poll show? It's whatever poll they're showing it. The 2016 exit poll.
Can I put... Oh, sorry.
That's a 2016 exit poll.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not
Can
listening
I point
to this
out,
guy.
I find the fake gesturing on these giant, whenever there's like a media thing and they gotta like, I'm moving the thing, and they do sort of a Minority Report gesture to move the screen.
Yeah, I hate that.
Clearly, a producer off screen's really doing it, but they want you to think they have like super tech in their newsroom. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off, put it on the screen. Have a clicker.
Yeah, so I think Julian Castro is my number 2 right now. So I would... Cory Booker is probably my number 3, but he's so historically corporate that it's I'm having a hard time believing in him. And probably Tulsi after that. And it's pretty close between those two. I don't know. Okay, so we're back.
welcome to the first Democratic presidential debate.
Mostly calling landlines,
And as we continue the questioning, time to get more members of our team in the
His eyes are
Now,
close
let's
together.
turn it over to Chuck Todd and Rachel Maddow. Take it away.
Thanks, Jose. All right, we're going to start by recapping the rules. 20 candidates
they have new
qualified
hosts.
for this first Democratic debate. We're going to hear
Good.
from 10 tonight,
I like
10
Rachel
more tomorrow.
Maddow. She's all
The
right.
breakdown for each night was selected at random. Now, the candidates will have 60 seconds to answer, 30 seconds for a follow-up if necessary, and we will be ruthless if necessary.
Cole Wilson, $5.
By the way, hi, Rachel.
If Buttigieg.
And
Because
we've got a lot of
President,
ground
we're
to
all
cover.
still
We're
calling
gonna be
him
talking
Mayor
about
Pete,
guns
right?
and
Yeah.
climate here up top. A whole lot more in this hour.
Oh,
Obviously, because
God.
of the
The
size
guns
of the
talk
field.
is going to be
Not
obnoxious
every
to me
person
a
will be
bit.
able to weigh in on everything, but over the course of this next hour, we will hear from everyone. I promise everybody. And to begin with, we're going to go with guns. And Senator Warren, I want to start with you. We are less than 50 miles from Parkland, Florida.
I wish I could see what
17
those
people were
binders
killed
had
in a
in them
school
that
shooting last year.
the moderators
and where
have.
there has been significant activism
All
on
right.
gun violence
So
ever
gun
since.
violence,
Many of you are
Elizabeth
calling
Warren,
for a
let's hear it.
restoration of an assault weapons ban. But even if implemented, there will still
Someone's
be
talking in
hundreds
the
of millions of guns in this country.
You guys
You
do a
guys going to
stream
stream
on
on the Republican debate? There isn't going to be a
Everybody's
primary
watching.
for the
I think
Republicans.
we
Trump
had
is
a-
automatically
I
the...
heard that too. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think we had a little mic
Unless
issue in the
something
back.
crazy happened.
Controller,
They
we've
haven't
got-
We have
primaried
we
a
heard-
candidate
we
like
have
that.
The
in-
audience audio.
Has it ever happened? Not in the modern
So
day,
the
I don't
question
think.
is simply this. We're from, I apologize you guys didn't get to hear this, the first part of the question. Obviously, we're not far from Parkland, Florida. Gun activism has become
There you go.
a
They
big
fixed
part
their
of high
audio
school
problem.
life up there in Broward County. Many of you are calling for tighter gun restrictions. Some of you are calling for the
Who's
restoration
the
of the assault
cute
weapons
guy
ban.
on the left?
But even if it's put in place, there's still going to be
That's me.
perhaps
No, it's
hundreds of
Cory
millions of
Booker?
guns still
I
on the
don't know.
streets. Is there a role for the federal
Julian
government?
Castro?
Those
in
binders
order
are full of
to play in
women,
order to get
Hugo.
these guns
Wow.
off the streets?
2012. I remember that.
Mitt Romney, man. I miss him.
We are
Comparatively.
We are hearing our colleagues' audio. If the control room could turn off the mics. Yeah, if the control room could turn off the mics of our previous moderators, we will.
What
Hey,
did we
hey,
hear
hey.
anything specific?
By the way,
Guess
we
what?
have better
We're going to take a quick break.
production than
We're gonna get
NBC.
this
Tossing
technical
that out there.
situation fixed. We will be
There's
right back.
one guy primarying Trump, actually. Yeah, but he's not gonna. I mean, he's there because he's just a protest.
There's a guy trying to primary Trump, but the Republican Party is not behind the guy, so it's not actually probably going to happen.
You guys can try to restrict weapons. So pessimistic. I'm not that pessimistic as boomers die off.
They could do enough in the next 10 years. They could do some more damage on the way out.
Restricting. Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, like as far as restricting guns, not that hard.
Oh God! Why does this
stop?
No one's clicking on your weird porn.
Hey, no, it's a bot. Like, it's clearly a bot. You can't do anything about it.
I don't care.
You can't. Why even? Why even?
I am also part robot, therefore I find it incredibly offensive that they're using their robot abilities to spam porn.
I assume the porn bots. So a lot of people.
I think the bots can just sense our audience has full loads waiting in their testicles.
Or the real reason is I did a hashtag that they liked. So yeah. We could put a poll tax on boomers. That's not for any poll. Although funny, not for.
How about just a literacy test? I feel like some of them have lost the ability to read over time.
We obviously can't do any of those things, but
no.
But yeah.
Yeah, the Michigan thing bummed me the fuck out when Michigan went red last year. Holy shit.
License requirements would be nice, like, driver's licenses? No, that would not be nice. What are you talking about? No. Why would you need a driver's license to vote? What if you can't drive but you're 18? That's stupid.
I would be okay with needing some form of identification if and only if the government issued free government IDs that could easily be mailed to you.
Yeah, by sending them a fucking selfie, But there's so many ways to fuck that up. So
yeah,
What if it was only on the white ones? No one. No. I mean, there are people that are white passing that are minorities. Like, you know what I mean? So my loads are
God,
full.
the DNC made such a mistake running Hillary.
Oh yeah.
Holy fuck.
Iron Pumpkin.
The margins were crazy low.
That doesn't say anything. But you're getting removed.
Gary Johnson got 2% of the vote in Florida? Damn.
My grandma's 100% behind Warren and Bernie. She's great. Hey. You have 60 seconds if you want to do a super chat thing and make sure we read your shit.
Is Gary Johnson running for the,
No. He's definitely not running.
Libertarians again?
No. There's no way he's running.
Oh, they're gonna have a primary. That makes sense.
Yeah, automatic
Obviously.
voter registration. Turn 18, get registered. Yes.
Oh God, John McAfee is running for Libertarian. That dude likes to be pooped on. True story.
He sure does. You can see that in his Netflix documentary if you'd like.
Yeah, John McAfee. What was it? The Dangerous Life of John McAfee or something? Gringo, maybe it was called? I don't remember. Oh, maybe Gary Johnson isn't running this year. That's surprising. He's been the candidate for them for quite a while.
Have you guys seen
the real ID thing that passed? Yeah, by the end of the year, I have to get a new ID or else I can't fly on planes anymore.
Lily loves. Imagine if we had gotten Gore in 2000.
Never say that.
Yeah, that's a timeline I'd like to take a peek at.
We will march.
All right, here they go.
I will lean forward here a little bit. Senator Warren, we're going to get to the gun question here.
Who's running for the Green Party? Maybe
It's
Jill
just north of
Stein
here
again.
in
I'll
Broward
look.
County. As you know, it has created
Well, we
a
have
lot of
NBC.
teenage
No one
activism,
cares about Jill
on the gun
Stein.
issue. It has inspired a lot of you to come out with more
Probably Jill
robust plans to deal with guns, including assault weapons ban. But even if you're able to implement that, what do you do about the hundreds of millions of guns already out there? And does the federal
I
government
hate how they
play
say
a role
assault
in dealing with
weapons. What do they mean by assault weapons specifically?
In this period of time that I've been running for president, I've had more than 100
still
town
there? You're
halls.
kind of
I've taken
frozen,
more
right?
than
Yeah.
2,000 unfiltered questions. And the single hardest question I've gotten, I got one from a little boy and I got one from a little girl. And that is to say, when you're president, how are you going to keep us safe? That's our responsibility as adults. 7 children will die today from gun violence, children and teenagers. And they won't just die in mass shootings. They'll die on sidewalks, they'll die in playgrounds, they'll die in people's backyards. Gun violence is a national health emergency in this country.
Everyone knows Hugo's already on the no-fly list. Mean Boy Advance.
So what
Yeah.
can we do? We
What are
can
you
do the
gonna do?
things that are sensible. We can do the universal background checks. We can ban the weapons of war. But we can also double down on the research and find out what really works, where it is that we can make the differences at the margins that will keep our children safe. We need to treat this like the virus that's killing our children.
You didn't address, do you think the federal government needs to go and figure out a way to get the guns that are already out there?
What I think we need to do is we need to treat it like a
blocked
serious
someone who
research
was not the
problem, which
porn
we have
accidentally because it was
not
right
done.
next to it.
You know,
You got it?
guns in the hands of a collector who's
Okay,
had
got
them
it.
for
Thank you.
decades, who's never fired them, who takes safety seriously, that's very different from guns that are sold and turned over quickly. We can't treat this as an across-the-board problem. We have to treat it like a public health emergency. That means bring data to bear, and it means make
She's
real
mad.
change
I
in
mean,
this
I get
country,
it.
Thank you.
whether it's politically popular or not.
Senator Booker, you have a program.
Fight for our children.
Senator Booker,
Lily should be
you
unhidden
have
now.
a federal government buyback program in your plan. How is that going to work?
Well, first of all, I want to say my
Okay, we
colleague
got
and I
new
both have
mods
been
in
hearing
chat.
this on the campaign trail. But what's even
You're a
worse
mod
is
because I
hear
trust you and because you're on all
in my
sorts of
neighborhood.
streams.
I think I'm
That's
the only
why.
one. I hope I'm the only one on this panel
Colossal
here that
Coffee,
had 7 people shot in their neighborhood just last week.
Most
Someone
realistic
I knew
chance of
shot
winning the
Smith was killed
nomination,
with an
and do we
assault
think
rifle
they
at the
can
top
beat
of my
Trump?
block
Elizabeth
last
Warren,
year.
yes.
For millions of Americans, this is not a policy
Elizabeth
issue.
Warren, if
This
we
is an
actually
urgency.
get like
And
a
for those who have
progressive
not been directly
candidate,
affected,
Bernie Sanders is my
in a
number
country where
2.
their kids go to school
If
learning
not,
about
maybe
reading,
Cory
writing,
Booker
and
again,
arithmetic,
because the
and
DNC will
how to
might
deal
try
with an
and do
active shooter in
again
their
sort of an
school.
Obama thing.
This is
because they
something
think
that I'm
optics
tired
are
of. I'm
optics
tired of
are
hearing
sort of
people all they have to
everything, but I
offer
think they're going to get
thoughts
too
and
focused
prayers.
on.
In my
We need
faith,
someone who reminds people of
say
Obama.
faith without works is dead. So we will find a way. But the reason we have a problem right now is we've let the corporate gun lobby frame this debate. It is time that we have bold actions and a bold agenda.
When you do that,
you're unhidden now. I apologize.
Because this is not about
Mods,
policy.
when you do
This
that,
is personal. Thank you,
Senator Booker.
click the report and then tag his porn.
Talk to you about something that Senator Booker just mentioned there, the idea of active shooter drills in schools. As school shootings seem like an almost every day or every week occurrence now, they don't make a complete news cycle anymore, no matter the death toll.
Yeah.
As parents are so afraid as their kids go off to school that their kids will be caught up in something like this. Next to nothing has changed in federal law that might affect the prevalence of school shootings. Is this a problem that
Elizabeth
is going to
Warren
continue
is
to
really
get
hitting my
worse
G-spot
over our
tonight.
lifetimes? Or is there something that you would do as president that you really think would turn it
Thank you
around?
for the $5. Yeah.
Rachel,
Yes, I agree.
The
I
dad
am
of a
properly
10-year-old
milked
girl,
right
Karina,
now.
who's here tonight, and the worst thing is
Being a mod is
knowing
praxis.
that your
I love you,
child might
Jeffrey.
be worried about what could happen at school, a place that's supposed to be safe. The answer to your question is no. We don't have to accept that. And I believe that on January 20th, 2021, at 12:01 p.m., we're going to have a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate.
Someone says, honestly, what more could we do concerning gun violence within reason? I'd say
The activists of Parkland, folks,
a ban on semi-automatic rifles. Not automatic, because automatics are already like tens of thousands
Semi-automatic,
of dollars.
magazine.
If you want it for
fed
hunting
anything.
or even for defense, a bolt action would be fine.
Magazine fed
Harder to
anything.
shoot a
you
bunch
can
of people in quick
The question
succession.
often
If you put
is,
a magazine
if
in
the
it, it's
decision is
done.
between 60
Gone.
votes, a
That's the
filibuster,
answer.
or passing common sense gun reform, I'm going to choose common sense gun reform. So I believe that
Yes.
we're going to be able to get that done in
Because
2021.
handguns specifically, like Glocks are the biggest problem. Like 9mm
We'll give you 30 seconds for follow-up.
It's semi-automatic handguns as well if you want. You can have revolvers, which take a while to
Which are
reload. I know
those are semi-automatic though, so you have to, that's why I say
reforms
magazine
here.
fed.
We need to start dealing with the trauma
But I
that
agree
our
with you.
kids
Revolvers,
have.
I think, are
We need trauma-based care in every school. We need social and emotional learning in every school. 90% of the shooters who do school shootings
I don't hate this
come from the
approach
school
either,
they're
which is
in,
proactive.
and 73% of them feel shamed.
Better mental.
Leslie says
traumatized,
better
or
mental
bullied.
health care would help.
We need to
I
make
agree,
sure
but
that
I
these
think that's a
kids feel
little bit of
connected
a
to the school.
It's not the-
That
diversion
means a
people
mental
tend
health
to use. I'm not
counselor
saying
in
that's
every
what
school
you're
in
doing,
the
but
United
often
this guy is
We
saying
need
the
to
same thing
start
right
playing
now
offense.
on
If our
screen.
kids are so
He's talking about,
traumatized
like,
that they're getting a gun and going
let's-
into our schools,
let's start
we're
at
doing
the
something
educational
wrong too,
level,
and we need
which I agree
reform
with.
around trauma-based care.
We can do both,
You're a
though, is
Texans
the point.
campaign
Well, yeah,
Like,
that's what he's
all
saying.
over the state in 2018.
Things are
the
more
most
successful
conservative
when you
parts
tackle
there.
them from
What do you
multiple
tell a
fronts.
guy
Absolutely.
who may agree with you on everything else, okay, but says, you know what, the Democrats, if I vote for them in there, they're going to take my gun away. And even though I agree with you on all these other issues, how do you have that conversation?
Here's how we had that conversation in Texas. I shared with them what I learned from those students who survived the Santa Fe High School shooting. A young student named Bree, her friend Marcel, who survived another shooting, the mother of a victim who lost her life.
He does
Rhonda
this
Hart.
thing where he's like,
We
I've
talked
been out
about
on the streets
universal
talking to
background
folks.
checks where you close every loophole. We know that they save lives. Talked about ending the sales of assault weapons into our communities. Those weapons of war were designed to kill people as effectively and as efficiently as possible. They should belong on the battlefield and not in our communities. Red flag laws so that if someone poses a danger to themselves or to someone else, they're stopped before it's too late. And what I found in each one of those 254 counties is that Democrats and independents and Republicans, gun owners and non-gun owners alike, agreed. But this effort must be led by the young people that you referenced at the beginning of this issue. Those students from Marjory Stoneman Douglas led the charge here in Florida, and they've been able to change those laws. They're making our democracy work, ensuring that our values and our interests and our priorities are reflected in the laws that we pass.
Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke.
Sure.
Hang on. Let me give 30 seconds. Senator Klobuchar, the Iron Range, I'm curious. Gun confiscation, right? If the government is buying back, How do you not have that conversation?
Well, that's not confiscation. You would give them the offer to buy back their gun. But I'll say this. I look at these proposals and I say, does this hurt my Uncle Dick in his deer stand, coming from a proud hunting and fishing state? These proposals don't do that. When I was a prosecutor, I supported the assault weapon ban. When I was in the Senate, I saw those moms from Sandy Hook come and try to advocate
I mean,
for
she's
change,
not wrong
and
about
we
it, but I
all
hate that she
failed.
said,
And then,
my
now,
Uncle
these
Dick
Parkland
in his
kids
hunting
from Florida,
stand.
they started
That might work on other people. I'm
national
just very
shift. You know
jaded
why?
about this.
It's just like with gay marriage. When kids talk to their parents and their grandparents, they say, I don't understand why we can't put these sensible things in place. Say, listen, and if we get bested by a bunch of 17-year-olds, it's the best thing
I like
that
that whoever's talking, their stand like lights up differently. That's a nice touch.
Senator
The
Mitch
production
McConnell says
team
that his
behind
most
the staging of
consequential
this.
achievement as Senate Majority Leader was preventing President Obama from filling a Supreme Court seat. Having served with Republicans on the
McConnell's
Judiciary
such a
Committee,
piece of
do you
shit.
believe they would confirm your court nominees?
I'm going to use 20 of my seconds just to say there's one thing we don't all agree with when it comes to guns, and I think it's common sense, and over 70% of Americans agree with me. If you need a license to drive a car, you should need a license to buy and own a firearm. And not everybody in this field agrees with that, but in states like Connecticut that did that, they saw 40% drops in gun violence and 15% drops in suicides. We need to start having bold agendas on guns. When it comes to the Supreme Court, very clearly, I agree with my friend, Secretary Castro, we are going to get to 50 votes in the Senate. This is a team sport. Whoever is our nominee needs to campaign in places like South Carolina because we can elect Jamie Harrison. They need to campaign in places like
This is
Iowa,
good. This is a good idea.
We can
I mean,
win a Senate seat
I
there.
like that.
This is
I like
about getting
that
us
sort of
back to having
message. Like,
50
hey,
votes
I
in the
might not
Senate
win,
and
but we
more,
need to
so that
win.
we can not only
I'm with
I
that.
hope the DNC takes lessons from the last election and is aware they need to go everywhere with the candidate.
Everything they've done this election season, besides Joe Biden, has told me that they have listened. So I'm worried about that.
We have to actually.
Congressman Delaney, you'll have some time in a moment on this issue. Congressman Delaney, I'll give you some time in a moment. Mayor de Blasio,
I do feel
as an
bad for the
executive in
people on
largest
the
city
end
in this
because they
country,
poll
you
lower,
are
so
used
obviously they're going to get less
what you
time.
want to
But
have happen and having it happen. If you nominate a Supreme Court nominee as President of the United States and Mitch McConnell is still Senate Majority Leader, what makes you believe that he would allow you to make a nominee?
Rachel, I am chief executive of the nation's largest city, and I also want to just say something quick on the gun issue and come to your question. Look, I run the largest police force in America, too, and if we're going to stop these shootings, we're going to get these guns off the street, we have to have a very different relationship between our police and our community. I also want to say that
I really do think police outreach is huge.
From all my
for
colleagues
the
running
record.
in this race, and that is for the last 21 years, I've been raising a black son in America. And I have had to have very serious talks with my son Dante about how to protect himself on the streets of our city and all over this country.
Has anyone out there
including how to
watched
deal with
Captain
the fact that he has
Disillusion?
to take special caution because there have been too many tragedies.
He has a
between
black
our
son
young men
in
and
the
our police,
videos,
too,
and it
as we
reminded
saw
me of
recently in
that.
Indiana.
He says,
We
"Give
need
me
to have a
black,
different
my
conversation in this
son."
country about guns, but also a different conversation about policing that brings police and community together. We've done that in New York City, and we've driven down crime while we've done it. But to your question about Mitch McConnell, there's a political solution that we have to come to grips with. If the Democratic Party would stop acting like the party of the elites and be the party of working people again and go into states, including red states, to convince people we're on their side, we can put pressure on their senators to actually have to vote for the nominees that are put forward. Decent jurists who deserve that right.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
Senator Warren, I'm going to get you. I will get you 30 seconds. I promise. Let me get this question. We're trying. I know you guys. We got other issues we're trying to get to, including a big one coming up in a minute. But Senator Warren, I want to continue on the Mitch McConnell thing because you have a lot of ambitious plans. You have a plan for that. Okay. We talked about the Supreme Court. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell if you don't beat him in the Senate, if he's still sitting there as the Senate Majority Leader? It's very plausible you be elected president with a Republican Senate. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell?
I do.
That's funny.
We are a democracy, and the way a democracy is supposed to work is the will of the people matters. Now, we for far too long have had a Congress in Washington that is just completely dismissed what people care about across this country. They have made this country work much better for those who can make giant contributions, made it work better for those who hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers, and not made it work for the people. Well, here's how I see this happening. Number one, sure, I want to see us get a Democratic majority in the Senate. But short of a Democratic majority in the Senate, you better understand, the fight still goes on. It starts in the White House, and it means that everybody we energize in 2020 stays on the front lines come January 2021. We have to push from the outside, have leadership from the inside, and make this Congress reflect the will of the people.
I'm going to get a couple of you in here. I'm going to get you a couple
what
in
it sounds
here.
like is
Congressman,
stop being bitches, Democrats.
You seem to believe
literally
you
that.
can do everything in a
Stop being
bipartisan
pushovers.
manner. Mitch McConnell doesn't operate that way. He operates differently. Why do you think he is going to conform to your style?
I think we need to get things done. That's why I believe we need to operate in a bipartisan manner. Listen, I'll sign into law pills that come to the White House that are passed on a
Every time a
party-line
Democrat
basis,
says
absolutely.
bipartisan,
But all the big
Republicans
transformative things we've ever done in this country's
I like
history
the idea
have
of
happened when
bipartisanship,
huge
but not with these
majorities of the
Republicans.
American people get behind them, which is why we need real solutions, not impossible promises. We need to put forth ideas that work, whether it's on health care, creating universal health care so that every American gets health care, but not running on making private insurance illegal. The gun issue is related. The gun safety issue is related because I can't tell you how many times I've been with folks in Western Maryland, and they've said to me, you know, Democrats don't do anything for us. Republicans don't do anything for us. You fight all the time, so they vote on that single issue. If we become the party of getting things done for the American people with real solutions, not impossible promises, we'll be able to get all these
things done. 2:30's here. I'm going to say, Senator Booker, 30 seconds. How do you deal with Mitch McConnell? You've been in the Senate. You can't get bills on the floor right now with Mitch McConnell. Presidents can't do it. Is President Booker going to get his bills on the floor with Senator McConnell?
You know, when I got to the United States Senate, going back to what
It looks like they're framing Booker and Warren to be the big
I'm surprised Gabbard isn't getting more
one of the
time.
biggest issue was criminal justice reform. From police accountability to dealing with the fact that we have a nation that has more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. And when I got to the Senate, people told me we could not get a comprehensive criminal justice reform bill done. And as my colleagues in the Senate know, I fought on that bill from the day I got to the Senate, built coalitions across the aisle, and today we passed the First Step Act. It's not as far as I want to go, but thousands of people will be liberated. I've taken on tough problems people said we cannot achieve, and I've been able to get things accomplished.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Rachel's got the next question.
Hold on, Governor, you're going to be happy with where we go. Governor Inslee, this next question is to you. You got me? Rachel. You got me?
Jaguari, $10 super chat. Hey guys, hey, welcome to
first,
the
second,
thing.
and third priority for you. You said it's all the issues. Let's get specific. We're here in Miami, which is already experiencing serious flooding on sunny days as a result of sea level rise. Parts of Miami Beach and the Keys could be underwater in our lifetimes. Does your plan save Miami?
Yes, first by taking away the filibuster from Mitch McConnell to start with. We have to do that. Look at. We are the first generation to feel the sting of climate change, and we are the last that can do something about it. Our towns are burning. Our fields are flooding. Miami is
This guy has a lot of the right ideas. He's just not electable.
This is a climate crisis. An emergency.
Tulsi Gabbard is being
it is
very
our
disciplined,
last
sitting up there and not
chance in
getting
the
a say in any of this.
Next one to do something.
She hasn't really
about
butted in like a lot of the other people, though, either.
She's a military person, so I get it.
We've passed a 100% clean electrical grid bill. We now have a vision statement, and my plan has been called the gold standard of putting people to work. But the most important thing on this, and the biggest decision for the American public is who's going to make this the first priority. And I am the candidate and the only one who's saying this has to be the top priority of the United States, the organizing principle to mobilize the United States so that we can do what we've always done.
Lily loves. Inslee is running because he wants to be head of EPA.
That's what we're going to do.
I think he'd be great head of EPA, honestly.
Big climate change plan from your campaign. You want some big changes in a pretty short period of time, including switching to renewable energy, pushing to replace gas-powered cars in favor of electric ones. What's your message to a voter who supports the overall goal of what you're trying to do, but suddenly feels like the government's telling them how to live? And
someone else says they stole a lot of stuff from Bernie. Good.
I think
yes, this is all the point. To try and get that message out to more candidates so that becomes a policy around which people can gather, you know, and support.
A town that had never meaningfully flooded before, just up against the Missouri River in Iowa. And every home in that community had flooded. There were farms just outside of Pacific Junction that were effectively lakes. Those farmers already underwater in debt. Their markets closed to them.
Ooh, that was a pun, guys. You guys like that pun?
And now they don't know what to do. We, in our administration, are going to fund resiliency in those communities, in Miami, in Houston, Texas, those places that are on the front lines of climate change today. We're going to mobilize $5 trillion in this economy over the next 10 years. We're going to free ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels, and we're going to put farmers and ranchers in the driver's seat, renewable and sustainable agriculture to make sure that we capture more carbon out of the air and keep more of it in the soil, paying farmers for the environmental services that they want to provide. If all of us does all that we can, then we're going to be able to keep this planet from warming another 2 degrees Celsius and ensure that we match what this country can do and live up to our promise and our potential.
30 seconds. Secretary Castro, who pays for the mitigation to climate, whether it's building
just one asbesto
for people
with $2 Canadian
in places
that his face
that they shouldn't be living.
is like an
federal
entire
government issue that needs to do that? Do they have to move these people? What do you do about that where maybe they're building a house someplace that isn't safe? Who pays to build that house? And how much should the government be bailing them out?
Well, I don't think that represents the vast majority of the issue. In fact, you know, my first visit after I announced my candidacy wasn't to Iowa or New Hampshire, it was to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Because people should know that if I'm elected president, everybody will count. And, you know, I'm one of the few candidates in this race with executive experience.
That's not a terrible
things done. When I was mayor of San Antonio,
there, man.
we
That's
moved our local
nope,
public
nope,
utility.
The night with 35 Canadian dollars. It's basically monopoly money. I spent 35 on cam girls because I have addiction. Please don't waggle your willies for me. Sorry, you guys don't increase my sausage size.
Resilience competition.
Well, that was really weird.
Invest in communities that we're trying to rebuild from natural disasters in a sustainable way.
All right, I see how it is.
That we're going to help make sure
I'll give you a boner. That's fine.
In the years to come, and that we combat climate change.
Just don't tell me again, because
the first thing that I would do.
My assumption is that at least I'm at least responsible for half, and Hugo's responsible for the other. So
that we lead again.
Congressman Ryan, I got a full question for you here.
Stop doing
which is
coke.
Simply this: there are a lot of the climate plans include pricing carbon, taxing carbon in some way. This type of proposal
Nothing for
has
Tulsi
been tried in a
still.
few places, whether it's
going to
Washington
her?
State, where voters voted it down. You've had
This
the
guy.
Yellow Vest movement. We had in Australia one
fucking
party get
poised.
rejected.
God, that guy looks like a deer in headlights every time they cut to him.
Put on the backs of the consumer.
He's ready.
Not the moderator.
He has no lips. No lips whatsoever.
For climate mitigation.
He doesn't have any facial features.
We talk about
besides
different ways
eyes.
of raising revenue.
He looks like he's
And I think
sweating
we've gotta
profusely under his
to
jacket.
grow our way out of it. But let me just talk real quick to the previous question about real politics. We could talk about climate, we could talk about guns, we could talk about all
Mean
of
Boy
these issues
Advance,
that we
Hugo and
all
Cheape
care
increase
about.
my sausage
we
size.
have a perception
Slurp,
problem with the Democratic Party. We are not connecting to the working class people in the very states that I represent in Ohio, in the industrial Midwest. We've lost all connection. That we have got to change the center of gravity of the Democratic Party from being coastal and elitist and Ivy League, which is the perception, to somebody from the forgotten communities that have been left behind for the last 30 years, to get those workers back on our side so we can say we're going to build electric vehicles, we're going to build
Then
solar
advocate
panels.
for policies
But if
that
you want to
help
beat
those
Mitch
people.
McConnell,
Yes.
this better be a working class party if you want to go into Kentucky and take his rear end out. And if you want to take Lindsey Graham out, you got to have a blue collar party that can go into the textile communities in South Carolina. So all I'm saying here,
That's not a terrible point.
Congressman.
Again, he's just...
All I'm saying is here, if we don't address that fundamental
presentation
problem
is
with our
poor.
connection to workers, white, black, brown, gay, straight, working class people, none of this is going to get done, Chuck.
Thank you very much.
Really disappointed no one is bringing up killing oil execs and sending Mitch McConnell to the
I
Hague.
introduced the only bipartisan carbon tax.
Frank, ignore nope the night. Waggle your willies.
All the economists agree that a carbon
Some are.
pricing mechanism works.
I want to keep my
you
guns.
just have to do it right.
And
you
not go
can't
to
put
war.
a price
Is there
on
anyone I
carbon,
can
raise
cheer
energy
for?
prices, and not give the money back to the American people.
Yeah.
My proposal, which is put a
You
price
could
on
get rid of your
carbon,
guns.
give a dividend back to the American people. It goes out one pocket, back in the other.
Sacrifice for the greater good, my guy.
First year as president with a coalition of every Democrat in the Congress and the Republicans who live in coastal states. Because Republicans in Florida,
Thank you for your donations, you
actually
three.
care about
Is
this
Pete
issue.
the only
This has
millennial
gotta be our way
candidate?
forward
Can a
if we're
millennial
actually
even
serious
run? Don't you have
about
to be in
this
your
issue.
mid-40s to be the president?
We're going to move here.
Millennials are like the
things you did
oldest
after
are like in their
launching your campaign was to
mid-30s
issue
now,
an
I thought.
apology to the LGBTQ community about your past stances
If you're in
and
your
statements on
40s
gay
or
rights.
50s, aren't you a Gen
After the
Xer?
Trump administration's rollbacks of civil rights protections for many in that community, why should voters in that community or voters that care about this issue in general trust you now?
Let me say that there is no one in our government at any level who has the right to tell any American who they should be allowed to love or who they should be allowed to marry. My record in Congress for over 6 years shows my commitment to fighting for LGBTQ equality. I serve on the Equality Caucus and recently voted for passage of the Equality Act. Maybe many people in this country can relate to the fact
the one
that I grew
who
up in a
didn't
socially
want
conservative
a
home.
trans
Held views
person
when I
to
was
get?
very young
No, am I
that
thinking
know
of
that
someone
I
else?
hold today. I've served with LGBTQ service members, both in training and deployed downrange. I know that they would give their life for me, and I would
she
give
seems to be fine
my
with the
life
military.
for them.
Is that what you're talking about?
It is
I
this
kind of cut you
commitment
off,
that
so I
I'll
don't
carry
know.
through
But
as
one of the
President United
candidates used
States,
to be. She's not the one who used to be a prosecutor, is she?
No, that was
discrimination in the
Kamala.
workplace. Still
Okay,
people who are
never
unable
mind.
to
That's why we
find
don't
a
like the
home
cop.
for their families. It is this kind of discrimination that we need to address.
But it's not enough. It's not enough. If I can add to this, it's very important.
30
because this
seconds.
is not
No
enough.
lips, only eyes and
Civil
bags
rights
under them.
is the place to begin. But in the African
Dr.
American
Winter.
civil rights movement,
Dom
another place to focus on
Trussardi,
is stop the
Dr.
lynching
Winters
of
for
African
president.
Americans.
Thanks
We
for
do
your
not talk
$5.
enough about trans Americans, especially African American trans Americans, and the incredibly high rates of murder right now. We don't talk enough about how many children, about 30% of LGBTQ kids, who do not go to school because of fear. It's not enough just
Oh
to be
my
on the
God,
Equality
that
Act.
guy's
I'm an
giving him the
original
weirdest
co-sponsor.
eyes. Holy
we
shit.
need to have a president that will
35
fight
to run.
Oh, 35 to run. My bad. I thought it was 45.
Americans every
You thought it was
single day
45? Oh, I didn't hear you.
from
Senator Booker.
Senator Klobuchar, let me put this to you. On the issue of civil rights, for decades,
Thanks, everyone.
on the issue of civil rights and demographics, honestly, and politics.
Nope, not tonight.
For decades, the
U.S.
Democratic Party has
politics is
counted
so
on
on the right.
African American
Canadian
voter
conservatives
turnout
look like
as
communists
step
in the
one
States. They
to
support
winning
our healthcare
elections
and
on a
other
national
reasonable
level. Democrats are counting on the Latino
wanna marry
community
me,
now
take
and in
me
the
to
future
Canada,
in
you
the same
can.
way. What have you done for Black and Latino voters that should enthuse them about going to the polls for you if you're your party's nominee?
Oof.
My life and my career and my work in the Senate has been about economic opportunity. And to me, this means better child care.
Does she have a center tooth,
for
chat?
everyone in this country.
Chat?
And
Is
when
her-
you
is her-
want
Oh,
to have
no.
a
Is that a
economy
center
that
tooth?
works, you need
This
to
one right
have
here. I'm gonna
retirement
track
that
it.
works. You
I'm
need
gonna
to
track
have
it with my
public
mouth.
schools that
Oh,
work.
she's fast.
And
Like
you
Tom
also need to make
Cruise? She's
sure
quick. She's
that,
quick.
those
But it's the
communities
opposite
are
front
able
tooth.
to get
It's
those
right here.
jobs of the
Chat.
future, the STEM
right
jobs.
here.
In fact, Donald Trump, one of the first bills that he
can't do it.
signed, of the 34 he signed where I was the lead Democrat, okay, that's a first up here, was one that was about that, making sure minority community members could share in those jobs. So to me, this is about a few things. It's about an African-American woman that goes to a hospital in New Orleans, says her hands are swollen, and then doctor ignores her and her baby dies. It's about the fact that African-American women make 61 cents for every dollar a white man makes. So in short, we need to, one, and I will do this in my first 100 days as president, we will work to make sure everyone can vote at this table. Everyone can vote in this country. And we will also go to the next step of criminal justice reform. Senator Booker and I worked on that first step back, but we should go to the second step
I mean,
back,
I'll take any
which
of
is
you.
to help all our communities across.
Senator,
not
thank
to
you
not
very
make you
much.
feel
30-second
special. I
follow-up
just
to you,
Canadian,
Secretary
you know?
Castro. This is a 70% Latino city here in Miami. You are the only Latino Democrat who is running this year in the presidential race.
Oh, that's in Miami. Okay.
have an answer.
I
Senator
have a
Klobuchar
black
is describing
son.
An economic justice agenda. Is that enough to
Is this the
mobilize
Rocky
Latino
Horror
voters to
Picture
stand with
Show?
the Democratic Party in a
No,
big way?
Meatloaf isn't
well,
here.
I also think that we have to recognize racial and social justice. And, you know, I was in Charleston not too long ago. And
he said the
I
term
remembered
social
that,
justice.
Dylan Roof went to the Mother
Cancel
Daniel
him.
AME Church, and
Nope.
he murdered 9 people
Nope.
who were worshiping, and then he was
I'm gonna
apprehended
make
by police without
35
incident.
videos straight about
but
how
what about
Julian
Eric
Castro is
Garner
an
and
SJW?
Tamir Rice and Laquan McDonald and Sandra Bland and
3
Pamela
videos
Turner
a day
and Antonio Arce.
for a month.
I'm proud that I'm the only candidate so far that has put forward legislation that would reform.
I'm
our
honestly
policing
impressed they
system
haven't
in
brought up
America and
Trump
make sure that
nearly
no
as
matter
much
what
as I
the color
thought they
of your
would.
skin is, that you're treated
Been
the same,
policy-based for the most
including
part.
Latinos,
A little bit
who are mistreated too
platitudinous
oftentimes by
in
police.
some bits, but you know.
Let me go over to Lester Holt, who's got a question.
The closed
I
captioning
believe, a
stopped
huge
working.
question.
I'm sorry for my hard of hearing
We
fans
ask
that
voters
can't
from
hear me
across the
say that.
country to submit their questions to the candidates. Let me read one now. This comes from John in New York, who submitted this question. He asks, does the United States have a responsibility to protect in the case of genocide or crimes against humanity? Do we have a responsibility to intervene, to protect people threatened by their governments, even when atrocities do not affect American core interests? I'd like to direct that question to Congressman O'Rourke.
Shane Fraser with $5. I don't have
John, I appreciate
anything clever to
the
say. I just wanted to give you money.
question.
Hey,
The answer is
I
yes.
appreciate that, Shane.
But
And frankly,
that
if
action
you do
should
that
always
more
be
often,
undertaken with
maybe you'll think of
allies
something
and
clever.
partners and friends. When the United States presents a united front, we have a much better chance of achieving our foreign policy.
Put it on a new channel
and
called the
preventing
3/4 inning.
the kind of genocide to which you refer, the kind of genocide that we saw in Rwanda, the kind of genocide we want to stop going forward. But unfortunately, under this administration, President Trump has alienated our allies and our friends and our alliances. He's diminished our standing in the world, and he's made us weaker as a country, less able to confront challenges, whether it's Iran or North Korea
Just one
or
asbesto.
Vladimir
Trump will
Putin in
come up
Russia,
plenty
who
tomorrow
attacked
because
and invaded
Biden.
our democracy in 2016, and who President Trump has offered another invitation to do the same. He's embraced strongmen and dictators at the expense of the great democracies. As president, I will make sure that we live our values in our foreign policy. I will ensure that we strengthen those alliances and partnerships and friendships and meet any challenge that we face together. That makes America stronger.
But what about the War Powers Act?
Congressman O'Rourke.
What about the War Powers Act being a part of that equation? With deep respect to the congressman, look, we've learned of painful lessons as Americans. That we've gone to war without congressional authorization. And look, this is very personal
agree.
for me.
We
I know the
should,
cost of war. My dad served in the Pacific
The War
in World
Powers
War II,
Act was
in
the
US
George
Army.
Bush bill, right? And then it got
Battle of
expanded into
Okinawa.
No, that was not in the 1970s. It was implemented, and since then the president can effectively get us into war without having it go through Congress, and it's been expanded over time. And after 9/11, especially, it was
that's the
used.
one I'm thinking. It's the same one, though. That's the one.
Even in the humanitarian crisis, and I think we should be ready, Congressman, to intervene. God forbid there is a genocide.
Tulsi is not being
but
covered,
not
and
without
it's
congressional
actually pretty
approval.
strange.
Democrats and Republicans
I'm very
both in the
surprised.
Congress have not challenged presidents.
I would like if she
and
got
let them get away with
a
running
lot
the
more
military
action
without
near the
that
end than
congressional
to
approval. We
outweigh
learned
that
a
she didn't
lesson
get
in
in the
Vietnam
beginning
we
very
seem
much.
to have forgotten.
To be fair, they've gone away from Warren
Warren
for a good like 15 minutes.
I want to pick up on this point, and I want to put this to Congressman Ryan. Today, the Taliban claimed responsibility for killing 2 American service members in Afghanistan. Leaders as
Why not do, like,
disparate
4
as President
debates with
Obama and
5
President
people?
Trump have both said that they
Yeah.
want to end
We'd all
US
watch it. I
involvement
don't
in
know why.
Afghanistan. But it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of
Who are
very
we
different
leaning
parties and very
towards
different
right
temperaments
now
get us
with
out
the
of there?
people on
And how
stage?
could you-
Warren, for me.
I appreciate that question.
I like
So
Julian
I've been in
Castro
Congress
as well.
17
Like
years,
he seems like a
and
really good
12
running
of
mate to
those
me.
years I've sat on the
My last
Armed
$5
Services
I give
Committee,
you.
the
I'm sorry,
Defense
friend.
Appropriations Committee, or
Also,
the
I'm
Armed
so
Services
thirsty.
Committee.
Please feed
and
me.
the lesson that I've learned over the years
imagine that
is
I
that you
have
have to stay engaged in these
things
situations.
you're attracted to.
Nobody likes it.
And then
it's
maybe you're
long,
thirsty
it's
quench.
tedious. But right now we
Name
have,
already used
so I
07.
would say
Christ, I
we
realize it's
must
only
be
Wednesday.
engaged in this. We
It
must
is.
have our
Thank you
State
both for your
Department
$5
engaged. We
dues
must have our
of your
military
respective
engaged
currencies.
to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is, this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things. Whether we're talking
I like
about
how fired
Central
up this
America,
guy is,
whether
but I
we're
don't know
talking
who
about
his
Iran,
name's
whether
de
we're talking
Blasio, I
about
think,
Afghanistan,
right?
we've got
Yeah,
to
he
be
doesn't have the
completely engaged. And
charisma
here's
to-
why.
I like he's
Because
fired
these
up, but yeah, I
flare-ups
don't.
distract
And he's
us
right.
from
I
the
don't think
real
he's been wrong
problems
about
in the
anything, has
country.
he?
If we're getting
Is
drone
this Black Sun
shutdown
guy,
for
or is that the other guy?
$130 million the analysis because the president is distracted That's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, actually, to jump off what he said. He described engagement.
Is that what you will tell the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money, money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today
UBI
than we
plan
were when this war began.
Is very
This is why it's so important to have a president and commander-in-chief who
Like,
knows the cost
if
of
you
war,
want,
who's ready
if you
to
want
do the
the
job on day
$1,000 a month, you have to opt out of
that
other
job when I
stuff,
walk into the Oval Office.
like Medicaid and shit.
I think that's mostly how people have put forward things like UBI, though, is to curb spending by getting rid of bloated departments and instead just making it a simplified amount of money you get.
Nah, fuck that. Just give everybody
places
$1,000.
that I've represented that have been completely forgotten, and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is, if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow, and they will have bigger, bolder terrorist acts. We have got to have some present there.
The Taliban was there long before we came in. They'll be there long before we leave.
Well,
we cannot keep U.S. troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban.
Boo! Get them out! Boo! Yay, Tulsi! Get out!
When we weren't in
Boo!
there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now, we have...
Oh, God. Oh, no. Don't 9/11 this.
Houston Hilbert says, as a soldier, yeah, I agree with that.
People join the military.
Colossal Coffee, thanks for making watching this so much better. Hey, no problem, man.
Was protecting.
Is this guy the New York guy, though? This guy's the New York guy.
All I'm saying is, if we
I
want
kind
to
of get the bias here, but also,
and we want to say that we got to withdraw from the world, that's what.
Using 9/11 as a political tool is so hackney and out of date. The youngest voters weren't even alive for 9/11.
I know.
For those of you who don't realize that, it does not work.
We created the Taliban. We did not create the Taliban. We exacerbated the Taliban and then helped radicalize them after we helped them fight Russia off in the Cold War in like 1987, and then left them in ruins without helping them after we helped them wage fucking war. It was really fucked up. It was nation building. It was imperialist. It was bad. Dungeon Cheese with $2. I am the you that politics, the watching, listen. Thanks for the $2.
The greatest threat that we face is the fact that we are at a greater risk of nuclear
After
war
I've
today
begun,
than
Hawk.
ever before in history.
Senator
Two threats: economic threat, China, but our major threat right now is what's going on in the Middle East.